Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 310th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings, and joining me this evening we have Ozzy Smith, Andy Patterson and Gabe Lewis. Sorry about the slightly late start there. We were trying to coax the guru on, Tommy Allen. He was about to come on, but in the end the money just wasn't quite enough for him.
He's going to die earlier, man, I'm telling you.
Couldn't agree terms, Andy. He was just asking for too much in the end.
Well, I know what he's doing right now. I mean, I know what he was doing at least 10 minutes ago. At least he was balls deep.
I'm sure, yeah. He might even get a female before the night's out as well.
Did you see him? He messaged Carol Frampton where he's got his bird, he's got his Thai bird, and she's got a Carol Frampton t-shirt on. He took a picture of it and tweeted it. Oh, this can only go one way. Like, he's going to go like peak, and then he's just going to crash and burn. He can't last there.
He's going the Tony Ayala route, isn't he?
Oh, what?
Yeah, hopefully. If we hear anything about the guru, we might have to announce his death live on air later on. But let's get on with the boxing. In the meantime, Andy, I suppose, let's go to you first, shall we? In the Microsoft Theatre, sounds fancy, over in Los Angeles, Leo Santa Cruz. They're dishing up the challengers for him. In this case, I think Richard Schaefer did say that Rafael Rivera was a better opponent than the original person, Miguel Flores. I would actually agree with him in this case. I think he was. And I was giving credit last week to Richard Zamora, who came in against Mario Barrios. At least he had a go. He tried to take his opportunity. And I think Rivera did the same. 119, 109 across the board. Might be fair scores in terms of scoring it round by round, but they probably don't do the justice to Rivera for the effort he put in.
Yeah, true. And the thing is as well, I think he actually had a fight already arranged, and I know he had come in as a kind of a late notice replacement, but he was in camp, and I think it did show actually over the course of the 12 rounds. He was okay, maybe he was well outpointed, but I thought he was, as you say, competitive throughout the fight. He was trying to maintain with a jab. He was trying to punch when Santa Cruz punched, he was trying to kind of obviously fire back. I just on the whole, I guess it was a good workout for Santa Cruz. I know some people were shitting on it and stuff like that. Obviously, over the course of the card, and that some fights weren't shown. I thought it was a decent workout for him, actually, in all honesty. Probably, as you say, Tricky Dicky was right that maybe Rivera was probably the kind of better opponent for him. So I don't know. Santa Cruz is calling it Tank Davis. I would love to see that fight next, actually. But Davis up at super featherweight. That's right, 130.
Mm-hmm.
So
just about.
Yeah, just about. So we can forget about that one, It's really. And to be honest, I suppose the other name he's never really mentioned is Frampton, I suppose. So really, we're going to really conceivably see that fight anytime soon. I don't think so. Yeah, I think Carroll's kind of hanging on hope that that the phone might ring, but I can't see it actually, in all honesty. So I don't know where Santa Cruz will go next actually, but off the back end that last night, I think he was definitely made to work for it in certain quarters. But fair play to Rivera, and I think again, even off the back end of that result there last night, I think he should be getting another opportunity as well. No title level, if you know what I mean. Maybe another like title opportunity, like say on TV, for example. No, like
as an opponent or something.
Yeah, basically,
yeah. No, I wouldn't disagree with that, to be honest with you, Andy. Wouldn't disagree with that at all. Ozzy, the thing is, we're talking about Frampton here. Obviously, he's coming off the back of a loss to Warrington. Santa Cruz did say he would go to Belfast. I don't believe that he'll ever fight in Belfast, especially not now that Frampton's lost a couple of times. He has a strange career, hasn't he, Santa Cruz? Because you could say, conceivably, he could move up to super featherweight, pick up a title there, and become a 4-weight world champion. But it's just indicative, Ozzy, of the way the sport is at the moment, because he has fought a lot of cab drivers, a lot of opponents who, decent names, like Mijares, Terrazas, but when he got the hold of them, Eric Morel, they were sort of past it as well. He's had a bit of a strange career. They're on about Jet Davis. I think they might actually make that fight, move him up to fight Gervonta Davis. Or the one I want to see, Ozzy, that they said they were building for, was against WBC champion Gary Russell. Where do you think he will go next? And where would you like to see Santa Cruz go next?
I would like to see him with Russell Jr., Warrington. I think either of those two fights would be pretty good to watch, to be honest. Will we see them? I'm not too sure. I think Carl Frampton is probably a legit option, to be honest. Frampton's in a bit of a situation now of where can he go. The fight probably still generates, well, it will generate interest, and Frampton would have no hesitation in travelling. I don't think there's probably a 1% chance of Santa Cruz coming over to Belfast. Do like the Gervonta Davis fight as well. I disagree with you there, Steve. I don't think they'd make that. I would take Davis to beat Santa Cruz as well. It's a funny one. What did he get last night? what, $1.5 million, which was revealed. Probably got some more on top of that. They're just comfortable paydays for him, really. It was a decent workout without really being tested. I mean, he obviously had the Abner Mares fight prior to that, which is, I think, something like last July or June or something. I mean, what is he? I mean, it's 2 fights in the best part of 3 years now. So I think activity is something we definitely want to see an increase of. And then from that, I don't want to see Santa Cruz box anybody pointless now. In this case, Rivera. I want to see him look to unify the titles or go up and fight Gervonta Davis, which I think would be a good fight. But no, that's my stance on Santa Cruz. One of them, it was okay last night. Like I said, Rivera, he gave it his all in terms of he had a go. He didn't buckle under the pressure or fold at the first sign, that first shot that was landed. But for now, Santa Cruz, surely him and his team need to be focusing on unifying the division or going up to super feather.
Yeah, he came in and he did have a go, and I am a fan of that. I remember Howard Eastman many years ago going against Bernard Hopkins, and the commentator said in the last couple of rounds, would Eastman be able to look himself in the mirror the next morning and say, I gave it a go, I gave it my all, I emptied the tank, this is my big opportunity? And I don't think that he was able to say that, Howard Eastman. But guys like Rivera, Zamora, these type of fellas, come the 11th and the 12th round, he really went for it and he tried to take his opportunity or force himself into an opportunity in the future, like Andy said. So you can't ask for any more than that. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Dennis Simpson says, Leo Santa Cruz versus the winner of Warrington or Kid Galahad. Don McNamara said Scott Quigg would force feed them all crayons. And JG says Valdez would smash them all. What do you think about that then, Gabe? Oscar Valdez, could he be the best of the bunch?
I absolutely think he could be the best of the bunch. He's got some unique ways of fighting, I think. I don't know if that I'd go so far as to call him flaws, but he seems to be a little bit off on his distances sometimes. So whenever I'm watching him, some of the things that he does look to me a little bit off from the way that you would like to see a guy fight. I'm interested to see what happens now that he's training with Canelo's team and what adjustments and what changes they bring to his game, because in his last fight out with who was Carmine, Thomasine, whatever, whoever the fuck it was. You didn't notice a whole lot of changes. And I think the potential's there. The guy is good. I don't think he's quite there yet. I still think he's maybe gonna transition a little bit more into whatever style they're bringing to the table in the new camps that he's going into. But I like that fight. So to me, Santa Cruz with Warrington, with Russell Jr., with Valdez. I don't personally want to see another Carl Frampton fight. I've already seen it twice. I don't really care for either guy. I suppose there's plenty of fans that would like to see it. So if that's what the people wanted, sure, go for it. Joseph Diaz, I think, would give him a little bit of a fight. So I think there's lots of fights for him still at featherweight. I think a move up is going to be more detrimental than it's going to be good for him. To me, he's not a hard hitter. He doesn't have a heavy punch that is really frightening to people. Yeah, he keeps them off. You're talking about professional boxing. So anytime that you have these guys, they're going to hit hard. I mean, they're not just playing patty cake. But I think if he moves up, what he's going to find is these guys are going to be a little bit bigger, and they're not going to be as backed off by him as he has seen so far in his career. So I think if he goes up, whoever he takes, I can't really see anyone that's ripe for the picking champion-wise right there in the junior lightweight division. Or, I think there's a lot of good fights there. Pretty much him with anyone there, I think in the first couple of fights, so long as it's not a cab driver like we're used to seeing, is going to be a good fight, because I think with the step up, there's going to be some new challenges for him. But at this point, I would prefer to see him stay where he's at and do as he actually says he's going to do, which is to unify the titles. But we all know that this is Leo Santa Cruz we're talking about, and he's got a knack for running his mouth and then not actually doing anything he says he's going to do. He's hid like a scalded dog from the best fighters in the divisions. So I don't expect to see anything good, but I think there are some good fights for him. And I will actually, at this point, acknowledge that he is not a horrible fighter. He just has fought terrible opposition.
He has, as the lads in the chat say, like MB, if he's getting fed these guys for the kind of money that he's getting paid, who can blame him? He must be bringing fans to the table in the arena and on the TV to be getting these constant paydays. Editing King there said Rivera got $20,000 for last night and Santa Cruz got $1 million. That is a horrendous disparity. I think it's obscene. But then if Santa Cruz is worth that in the market, then fair play to him. But is he really worth that? Why is Heyman overpaying him? I thought the days of the overpaying were starting to come to an end. Santa Cruz has always seen those paydays. I don't know. Anyway, Gabe, before we go on to the undercard, let's open this up to you. I know you're desperate to get stuck in on this one. From 13 Mike Boxing, it's as good a time as any to unleash this question. After Santa Cruz fought last night, says Mike, which boxers out there are having the most pointless careers? Which boxers have had the most pointless careers, Gabe? I know you wanted to throw a name or two into the hat.
You better say Kell Brook, like.
I think Andy's covered the number one probably consensus choice with Kell Brook there. But I had some thoughts on it. So I was thinking about some of the guys that we talk about often, upper level fighters. And one of the guys that came to mind for me, even though I'm a huge fan, is Guillermo Rigondeaux. What's he going to do? Nobody's going to fight this guy. You saw his last fight. He fought somebody and knocked him out in the first round. So there's him. I think at this point, Erislandy Lara is going to fall into that category as well, of somebody that I like, who's one of my favorite fighters, probably going to fall into that category of people that are whose career, I mean, there's really, what point is there to it? Because none of the top guys are going to face him. And this is more not because of their own doing, but it's these guys that we're talking about that are good and would be good with the best opposition possible, but nobody's going to face them. And that's not really a fault of their own, I feel like. And then the obvious choice that we've already discussed in this podcast is Santa Cruz. He's just been existing and taking these fights that have been really pointless for so long. I can't really remember the last time that he was going to fight that I was really, truly excited about it. And I felt like this is going to be a good fight. This is something that I'm going to watch because it's going to be a close competitive fight, aside from the Frampton fights. So we've had those two fights, and then I can't even remember the fights that I've seen him in lately. So between those three, those are the three minds that I came up with. Of course, I thought it might be interesting to discuss those two Cuban fighters because, again, they're not part of that crew that they're doing this purposefully. They just can't get a big fight. And then, of course, Kell Brook. I mean, if anybody says otherwise, they're off their rocker.
Talking of Cubans, Gabe, one of the biggest wasters, I know we talked about this in the past, Odlania Solis. I just think that was a complete waste of a career, whether it was pointless or not. I don't know.
But Klitschko fight, man. See when he went down in that first Klitschko fight with that knee injury, because we were all expecting a good fight there, and fuck, just to have it like it was like 90 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was
it. That was it for him.
In the chat, they're mentioning Gilberto Ramirez, actually. The thing is about Gilberto Ramirez, it is pointless, but it's pointless for a point, if you know what I mean, in that the promoters are deliberately bringing him along because I don't know whether he sells any tickets or not, but he's Mexican. He sort of fits the bill. They know he's a bit shit, so they're giving him lower level opposition. They wanted to feed him to somebody. I believe that is why they tried to sign David Benavidez, but he was signed to Lukovic, wasn't he, in the PBC? They couldn't get him out of that contract. I think they were going to get the WBC champion Benavidez, sign him up, put him in against the WBO champion Ramirez, big old Mexican world title clash, maybe not pay-per-view, but something like that. And see you later, Ramirez. He's been fed towards something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right on about that. I think that you nailed it though with pointless with a point. And you can even say that Santa Cruz actually maybe falls more into that category too, because these are guys that are having title defenses, who've got titles. And so in a roundabout way, I mean, it is kind of odd to say that their careers are pointless, but in the way that they're going about them, because I think we come from a place of looking at the sport through this lens of classic fighters and older guys who we grew up with that tested themselves, that wanted to be the best, that wanted to fight the best opposition, that wanted the big time fights. And it wasn't just about, making $1 million for a defense against somebody who shouldn't have really even been there. It wasn't about making money hand over fist for, nonsense fights. They tested themselves and they did what they respected the fans. They wanted to put on shows. I saw Ray Mancini last night talking before the fights or at some point yesterday. I don't remember when it was, but he was talking about how that's kind of lost now. And so whenever we look at fighters through that lens, I think it really takes a different perspective of just how many champions that we do have that don't really do that anymore. You can always go to the argument of, well, we've got so many championships, it's bound to happen eventually. But, 10, 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we didn't have all these guys that were making these crap defenses or having these crap fights against mandatories where we saw the kind of things that we're seeing now, especially with Santa Cruz or a Gilberto Ramirez.
Go ahead, Andy. Any for you to throw in?
I was going to say, obviously Chris Eubank Jr. Obviously he's done well to get to, some good money. I just think, obviously, his whole career's just been a facade. He's been exposed, and I just think, again, if DeGale's 80% of his best, I think it should be more than enough to kind of beat Eubank. So I need to throw that one in there. Other ones I would need to say, Demetrius Andrade. For a point in his career, remember at one point after beating Brian Rose, for example, he was in demanding 50-50 to fight Cotto. And the ends of fighting Willie Nelson and Jack Culkay. Right, okay, Paul. Other one, probably the Darrell brothers. Throw them in there. Big Vinny Feigen boots as well. And who was it? I forget the other one actually at the minute. It's probably Luke Campbell. He's kind of sitting on the sidelines, kind of waiting and begging that Garcia's going to vacate that title so he gets an easy route to a world title shot. So probably the ones at the minute. I've got another one as well back in my head, but it's just not coming to my mind at the minute.
I think Kell Brook's a good shout. He's just the epitome of this at the moment. He doesn't really want to fight. He knows there's money out there. He's just toddling along, fighting. Even guys like Feigen Boots, you could say, well, he's doing the best with his ability, or his promoters doing the best with his ability. They're getting him opportunities, they're getting him paydays. So there is a point to some degree. But someone like Brook, it's just inertia, isn't it? He's just floating along, not really doing anything. His fights don't mean anything. They're eliminators, but what do they ever lead to? I think he's the perfect example.
I hear Jesse Vargas' fight's supposed to be getting pushed back as well.
Even she can't even make the shit fights.
I know. The other thing as well is, I know he's in the World Boxing Super Series at the minute, but I'd need to throw Andrew Taibiti in there actually as well. Okay, he's got the Steve Cunningham one, but that was like a 40-plus-year-old Steve Cunningham. His best one since way before that was probably was it Tapia? I think his name was.
Beat Russell and Pfeiffer, didn't they?
Yeah, but come on, man.
He was undefeated.
For all that's worth, Christ, who's he beat?
Yeah, I know.
So it's again, I think he's a Floyd Mayweather fighter. So again, I think he might be another one that might be struggling with the promotional side. I don't know, but I thought this tournament might have kind of really kicked them on a wee bit, but it's just went all quiet there as well again.
Yeah, I know I plugged it last week, but the interview I did with Saul Rodriguez is maybe worth a listen regarding Mayweather. Mayweather, as people probably know, is just a figurehead of the organisation. He takes nothing to do with the ins and outs, the matchmaking and all that. And behind the scenes, people do get frustrated because there's not a lot going on. It's nothing to do with Floyd himself. He's off, putting money in strippers' arse cracks and doing whatever he is, wearing these outrageous outfits and stuff, Wellington boots.
Yes.
It's not anything to do with the day-to-day promotions, as you wouldn't be, Andy, if you're a multi-gazillionaire as he is. But it's the people behind the scenes who aren't doing the jobs, and I think signing with Mayweather Promotions just locks you in, doesn't it?
The thing is, with Floyd wouldn't be getting so much shit you know, if he actually spent his money with class, man. I mean, what's the fucking point of going about dressed like a tart, right? Just fucking go about with a pair of sandals on or something like that, and your dick hanging out, just hanging out your slags all the time and stuff like that, snorting lines and drinking Dom Perignon. Just go out in the blaze of glory, man. You know, dating the private jet, dating the girl collection, all that sort of stuff. Come on, if you're gonna do it in fucking style. See, like this wandering about a fucking swimming pool and that with all your gear on, sweating like a hoodie rapist, and they pals hanging about and stuff like that, just like lonely wee child. Go and fucking enjoy it, man.
Go and enjoy it like Ozzy on a weekend out in Chorley here.
I mean, listen, what's the point of spending it on fucking watches and cars, man? Hey, I'll tell you one thing, I would like to hope the cars are fucking actually leased, because it's a depreciation asset, man. What's the fucking point of buying a fucking Bugatti Veyron that's like worth how much? 4 million quid or something like that? $4 million, or how much a fucking Bugatti costs? Fucking hell.
Andy dropping some investment knowledge here. ISAs. Andy going in the ISA route.
Oh, aye.
Andy would prefer to buy like different pairs of like those coloured wellies that Floyd wore last week instead, and those circular red hats. He'd probably get a variety of matching hats and wellies, no doubt.
I'd go down to the local Klondike and get a fucking green wellies out the fucking thing for like £2, man. What the fuck are you talking about?
Come on then, Ozzy. Have you got any to add to the list? We've got Kell Brook, Adonis Stevenson, Shep. Any more wasted careers?
Prior to his win over George Groves, I would have said Callum Smith. He was just stagnating, constantly waiting. And being brutally honest, if it wasn't for the Super Series, I probably doubt he'd have had a world title opportunity now. I mean, he was mandatory for God knows how long, then went backwards fighting people like Luke Blackledge and things like that, and Norbert Nemes and Patty. Another one throwing their current fighter, probably Anthony Yard, just irrelevant, gets all this hype.
Yeah, good shout, that one, actually.
Just fights garbage. I mean, he had a good win over Serge Locker, and then it's just for complete tin can since. And another one will probably be Jamie Cox, whose record is just wins over utter rubbish. And then when he has stepped up, he's been massively found out. But he's done well because he's made an absolute fortune from doing that. So these people do have some ability in terms of making money, but in terms of records and relevance, they're relatively bottom of the pile fighters.
I've got another one, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Fast phrase.
Okendo. No, look, his career, it's everything for a reason. He's going towards this WBA shot.
Yeah, Frez is a victim of the system.
Yeah.
It's not his fault.
For 4 fucking year, what is he?
Well, it's about 5 years now.
Targeted, he's been ducked, and I've no doubt Eddie Hearn has probably used his powers with the WBA to keep him at arm's length, because Frez Okendo was a legit threat to Anthony Joshua. I can see it now.
You're going to have to sit back and like this one right now, because on the 23rd of March in Cologne, Germany, he's fighting Manny Jar.
I've got tickets for that. I forgot
We've
to tell
heard that
you.
Before, though, haven't we? We've heard that before.
We'll wait and see. Manny Jar.
They'll not want that action. They'll go back, watch his fight in 2006 or whenever it was against Jamil Big Time McLean, like I have many times, and say, no, we don't that work off Frizz. There you go. Cheated, not defeated. Anyway, let's move on from this madness. Rapping Rob Kelly's on the call. That's always a plus sign in my book. The chat are going absolutely wild for you, Rob. Leo Santa Cruz, we segued off into pointless careers there because we were wondering about Santa Cruz's career. It's not pointless when it comes to the bank balance, but the fighters he's going in with, we want to see him fight better names, Rob.
He must have had the softest route to the largest amount of money of any fighter that I could think of in the last couple of years, that outside AJ or whatever. Like, absolute joke. He's had 38 fights now, 37 fights. He's been in 4 contests, and 4 of those contests have come against the same 2 people. Carl Frampton and Abner Maris gave him a fight in both fights. Other than that, he's been just taking these easy, fucking hell, like, just joke fights. Like, I mean, all this shit that we said about Santa Cruz at the start, he was a mini Margarito, but it said it all to me when he jumped up to avoid Rigondeaux when Rigo was about to be the mandatory, like, and he jumped up in weight. And the two of them, really, him and Frampton jumped up in weight to avoid Rigondeaux, like, who probably would have beaten both of them at that stage. Like, Santa Cruz is a joke, man. I don't give a shit. Like, unless he's going to fight, I don't know, like a Tank Davis or a fucking, I don't know, like, who the fuck?
Gary Russell. Gary Russell.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Russell Jr. give him a fight as well, but he's another one, like, that's Gary Russell Jr. fights fucking every time there's a fucking full moon. Like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? He's not as if he's fucking active or anything. And he could go down in the wasted careers, actually, Gary Russell Jr. Because ever since his loss to Lomachenko, I know he's bounced back, won a version of a title and all that. But he fucking fights once a year, like. So 5 years passing, you might have seen Gary Russell 4 times or something. Like, it's not good enough, like. So,
Rob, hold on. Gabe wants to explode into the conversation here.
Explode away, Gabe.
Well, that's okay.
Don't let me stop you from exploding, Gabe.
I was thinking about what you were saying, though. While I feel the same way about the lack of consistency with Gary Russell, I still feel like some of that is, due to his physical circumstances. I don't know how much of that you can say is just plumb inactivity or having to wait till the exact right time before he can take a fight with his disorder. I don't think that gives him a free pass on any level, but I think that that's a part of it. And I will, I've maintained some composure here because I absolutely loathe Leo Santa Cruz. I mean, I just can't stand the guy. But if he does fight Gary Russell will beat the piss out of him. And I would love to see him fight Tank Davis so Tank could just pummel his ass for 12 rounds and maybe knock some of the stupid out of him.
Do you want to respond to that, Rob?
I'll tell Gabe, like I said to someone the other day when they were trying to vouch for somebody for me, when I said I didn't like someone, and then they were saying, oh, well, you never know their circumstances. I haven't got time to bioscan everybody for the circumstances before they piss me off, so I didn't know that Gary Russell had actually any illnesses or whatever, like, but if he has, good luck to him. I hope he gets over him, but I'd
got Crohn's, I think, Rob. He's got Crohn's.
All right, okay. Well, look, I want to see him in the ring. Like, fellas fought through fucking having, one eye and whatever, like his ears hanging off, like just get in the fucking ring. But yeah, no, I don't think Santa Cruz is fucking lighting anybody's fire in 2019, is he? Like,
no, I don't think so. Quick update on Frezequendo. I know everybody wants to go back to this subject. I've mentioned 2 or 3 times about his fight with Jamil McCline, so I thought I'd better check it out on the record there. I don't think he ever actually fought Jamil McCline, so I'm gonna have to stop mentioning that.
What the fuck were you thinking about then? What the fuck were you thinking about?
I don't know. You know the way all them shit heavyweights were around in the mid 2000s, Andy. You had Gallotta, you had Aquendo, you had McCline, and who else was there? Maurice Harris was about, and I'm just looking at the Eliezer Castillo, Chris Bird,
Bert Cooper when he got fat, and like
David Eisen retired, Obed Sullivan, Cliff Etienne, and McCline never fought Kendo. So George Arias, yeah, all these boys. So sorry about that, everybody, for leading you down the garden path. Andy, let's get back onto the subject matter, shall we? Undercard of Santa Cruz against Rivera. Cesar Juarez, didn't see this one, although there was a video knocking about from someone at ringside, had filmed it and put it on Facebook against Ryosuke Iwasa. Carlos Lacona as well was the same. I did see Omar Figueroa against John Molina, and to be fair, I thought Molina actually did okay, but the thing is with Figueroa, we sort of laugh and roll the eyes now when he doesn't make weight. Oh, here we go, he hasn't done it again. But how when are we going to have consequences for this? And they're going to say, you know what? Fuck you, we'll pay Molina a certain percentage, and you ain't fighting because you haven't made the weight again.
Yeah, how many is that? Like 3 times now. He failed to make it against Burns. They know it was one fight. He was like horrendously. It's like something like 15 pounds over. It was recently. Who was it he fighting?
I can't remember.
Hang on a minute here. I'll bring up his record because it was quite real.
Because he got found out against friend of the pod Jerry Belmontes, didn't he? Is
that who it was? Aye, because he lost that fight as well. Or I think Belmontes maybe threw it away. Anyways,
Robert Guerrero, Antonio DeMarco. That was a 2-year absence between those fights. Yeah.
So I know he's had hand problems, all that sort of stuff, and he's got problems with like cuts and that. But he's never been fucking good to watch. I know I haven't even seen the fight. Actually, honest, I caught the other fight on the card, but there was a lot of kind of comments I'd seen about the scorecards and stuff like 99, 91. I think it was one of the cards, and that folk were fucking raging at it. Figueroa's got again. We could have put him in that list with Kell Brook and that, or I don't know if we did actually, but if you look at his record, actually, it's actually got some decent names on it. But at the same time, if you go back and actually think about some of the fights, they were fucking god awful to watch. Some have been gifts. Burns beat him, in my opinion. I keep harping back to it. It's just against some of the scorecards. He always gets the benefit of every single doubt. If you even look at I don't know how much I can't even give him the Robert Guerrero fight. I mean, Guerrero at this point in his career, I think he'd been at the ring for a decent point by that point, or whatever. But he was way past his fucking best, and he was way past his best weight as well. You know, so it's just the most pointless career at this point. And I've probably said too much about it for even seeing the fights. Fuck him.
Gabe, you want to say something about Figueroa? Yeah, 2 years ago it was he fought Guerrero, and Guerrero's back again, isn't he? Now that's a career that should end, I think. Robert Guerrero. I'm going off on a tangent anyway. Gabe, tell me about Mr. Figueroa.
Well, I'll tell you the reason why he comes in overweight is not because he doesn't know how to count or doesn't know how to read a scale. It's because he doesn't live the life outside of it. He's been in trouble several times here in the great state of Texas for drink driving and all type of nonsense like that. I believe there's several offenses for that kind of thing. He's a slob, and he conducts himself like a slob outside of the ring. And with the continual behavior problems that he has, it's no surprise that last night he looked so shit and barely lasted 10 rounds. I'll give him a little bit of respect after being out of the ring for 10 years to go in there like he did. I mean, he was taking some of those right hands from John Molina would put everybody else out. He's got a decent beard, but when his time in the ring is over, he ain't gonna be worth a shit because he doesn't take care of himself. He doesn't behave. He doesn't do anything beneficially for his career. And at some point, whether last night was the kind of stuff we see, or whether somebody's really going to put a hurt on his ass, he's going to get it, and it's not going to be pretty. And it's going to all be chalked up to the way he lives outside of the ring. Now, I don't believe he's been in any trouble really recently, but over the past big layoff, I mean, that's whenever he was having some problems. He's had issues before that. So with already, like you've said, the cut issues, the hand issues, which I think it seemed like last night may have had a little bit of problem with his right hand, I believe. But with those kind of issues already with a guy, and then for him to be out drink driving and all kinds of nonsense, then you got makings of a guy who's really going to end up with a wasted career. And whenever he's got such a honestly fan-friendly style, I mean, he throws punches, he takes punches. This is a guy that for a large portion, a lot of people would be crazy about, but he just doesn't conduct himself in any kind of way that's conducive to have a long, legitimate career outside of the ring. And then his in-ring style is not conducive to anything that's going to be a long-term career. So he's going to end up getting the shit whipped out of him. And I think that's what a lot of the problems come from with the weight issues is he doesn't do it outside of the ring.
CTE credits, Gabe.
What's that?
CTE credits last night, extra.
Yeah, man, I would imagine so. I mean, like I said, I know there's not a lot of John Molina fans out there. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. I know there's not a lot of people out there who dislike John Molina that would still discredit his ability as a puncher. The guy has a pretty solid punch, especially with that goddamn right hand. And so whenever he got smacked around with it quite a bit and kept on walking through it, I was surprised. I think a little bit of that was that Molina had come off a long layoff too. And so that's why they looked towards the end of the fight, both pretty damn tired. But I think without having gone down to that way, it was scheduled to be 140, wasn't it?
It was, yep.
And without it having been scheduled at 140, if it had been 147, Molina would have smashed his ass. I still feel that way. But then again, he probably would have come in at 155 or something just to stick it to us.
Probably would have done, Gabe. Probably would have done. Before we go on to Brant against Bysongor with you, Rob Kelly. Hope you've seen it. Over in Spain last night, World Factory Events, MTK Global were bigging up this one all week. They send out about 10 emails a day, them. Navid Mansouri against Jorge Fortea. Mansouri losing a split decision to Fortea. I think a WBO title or something was on the line. Anyway, enough about all that nonsense, Rob. Over in Minnesota, where are we? Rob Brant against Kasan Bysongor, 99-90, 2 cards, 98-91, all in Brant's favour. He's a hard worker, isn't he, Brant? He's not going to be the best fighter in the world ever, but he sets a high pace. They said he threw 1,200 punches against Murata, and he throws the right hand a lot, and he's not the worst guy I've ever seen in the world.
Steve. He's poison, man. He's fucking poison.
Come
like.
on, man, let's get on the train.
Who's going to turn on a TV to watch Brant? Like, fucking hell.
He
Come
could
on.
actually be the mandatory now to Canelo against Jacobs. They'll muller him.
I mean, he's been around. Suppose he's a solid operator. Like, I'd say he's like a fucking C-level fighter to me. Like, I couldn't. No, Jesus Christ. I couldn't bring myself to watch him in action. Like, even if, you know what I mean? Even if he became mandatory for one of them two and he got stopped, I'd watch it the next morning. Like, there's no fucking way I'm watching that guy. Like, his style is just rotten. I don't know. Maybe I think we kind of talked about this before. Like, I only really want to see good fights, like a good fighters fighting. And I know he's all right, like, but I'm not going to tune in to watch him fighting anyone, like, especially some fucking no-mark that he was fighting last night, like. So, no, I gave that one a miss, Steve. Unfortunately, I can't contribute too much to Brant.
But Rob, I think you're being a bit harsh here because he's the mandatory now for the WBA, and this is a good point. It shows you people complain, right, about mandatories and sanctioning bodies, but if it wasn't for the IBF, for example, you wouldn't have had Kell Brook defending against Bizier or Jojo Dan. If it wasn't for the WBA, you wouldn't have Anthony Crolla going in against Vasyl Lomachenko. And Rob, if it wasn't for the WBC, you wouldn't have Alexander Gvozdyk defending against Dudu and Gumbu, 38-8. Yes, 8 losses on his record. He wouldn't be getting that shot if it wasn't for them. So you're shitting on sanctioning bodies and mandatories here, Rob.
Put it this way, I'd rather see Russell Brand fighting and Dudu Lawler, the taxi driver from Wexford, both fight rather than those two, Brand and fucking Dudu Ogumbu. Jesus Christ, Steve, come on, like, that's fucking hell, like, oh, that's poor, like, no, I'm not going that's, Jesus, like, just shit fighters, like, move on, Steve, come on.
Right, Rob's not enthused, Gabe, but I'm not going to take this line down. I'm going to persist. I'm going to be like Rob Brant in the ring and persist. He put Bysongor down in the second round. He busted up his nose. He got stuck in there. You know, let's have a bit of love for this guy. He done a good job on Top Rank. I'll tell you what, Gabe, if you don't take my word for it, Top Rank loved it. They thought it was brilliant. What do you think, Gabe?
You're struggling here, Steve, to get love for this fight, like.
I'm dying, Rob. I don't know what he was doing. Did you hear him breathing in the background? Shit.
Do you think he was being sexually assaulted on the streets of Wexford or something, Gabe? Is that what you're suggesting?
Just doing well sexually like Umar IFL Umar.
Kelly Rob Kelly.
In front of the camera, too.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't. Okay. All right. I'm ready for the question. No, I'm kind of maybe not completely sold, Steve. But I'm not as down on him as Rob sounds to be. You know, I know Rob wasn't just completely obliterating the guy, but yeah, I think he's fairly solid. I mean, I think he can, if he turns up in good shape and he's you know, taking his time to prepare properly. I don't see why the guy can't do some big things. You know, he's already made it to a point that a lot of guys don't get to. So I really don't. Let's put it this way: I'm not in love with the guy, but I certainly wouldn't turn the television off just because he comes on. He's no Ishii Smith to me. So I kind of lean more towards what you're saying, Steve, that he's solid. He's done some good things and you know, maybe he's not, you know, the guy that's going to unify a division and you know, win titles in 37 weight classes.
That's because there's no 37 weight classes.
Whatever, same difference. It doesn't mean that he's not good, and it doesn't mean that he's not solid. But I think that, you know, Rob's perspective maybe has a little bit of merit, but I tend to lean more towards what you're saying, Steve. I don't mind watching it, and I think he's solid all the way around.
Yeah, Andy, Andre Ward on the mic, also Tim Bradley. Bradley said Bysongor at one point was being outclassed. I don't think he was being outclassed, but maybe outworked. Like I said, the nose was busted up badly, but he was quite game, this lad. He was only 21 years of age. He was thrown in as a little bit of a sacrificial lamb, and he showed his inexperience, I thought, in the 11th round when he got dropped heavily, and he just stood in front of Brant, and he took a few shots, and he invited the stoppage from the referee, Mark Nelson. I think they'd seen enough, but I mean, he's got to fight better than Bysongor, hasn't he? But he has one of these bullshit titles, Brant, so he's sort of just cashing it in, isn't he?
Well, Bysongor is, again, another one of these WBA ranked fighters. And again, I tell you what, it was probably a chance to get to see what these WBA ranked fighters are like. and as to why they do become ranked, because that guy's never fought anybody. As you say, it's probably a big step up in class. Well, no class, but I would say probably in terms of, like, say, events. You know, it was like ESPN, it was like the main event and stuff. Maybe he just froze, whatever it was, but he just couldn't match the work rate of Rob Brant. And if to be honest with you, Brant's okay, right? But we all know this is all about levels, and you know they were talking about it on the mic there. They were saying that, like, you know, the winner of that fight against Canelo Jacobs might have to make the mandatory against Rob Brant. Brant, you know, he's grafted his knackers off to get this opportunity and stuff, but you know, it's a fake title. Canelo would eat him alive. Jacobs would eat him alive. He's just, I don't think he's really got the pop. Okay, he got the stoppage and that, but it was more like over like accumulation shots over the course of the 11 rounds. That says, again, a decent enough boxer. I can't take it away from it. You know, he was like, I don't even know what the punch stats were. I don't even really want to know, but he put it all on the line. He done what he done. But again, Bysongor is one of these fighters who is just, you know, one of these run-of-the-mill WBA ranked fighters. It's just what it is. You know, next up will probably be a guy I like, say maybe like Falcao probably, or Jason Quigley, something like that. I don't know. If he's not going to fight, obviously. See, to be honest, I can see Canelo. If Canelo beats Jacobs, I can actually see Canelo fighting Brant, purely because he's got commitments to this contract. He's got so many fights to make and stuff. And to be honest, it would be an easy takeover fight for Canelo as well. You know, so I think we could definitely see that fight. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it made.
Andy, I know Brant was up in weight, but the Bremer loss doesn't look good, does he?
Yeah, especially if you look at Bremer actually coming into that fight. Bremer, you know, if you look at Bremer at the weigh-in and then look at Bremer going into the ring, there was no difference. He looked like he was fucking ill. I mean, seriously ill. And Bremer basically, schooled him, I would say. You know, but then again, it could be, again, down to size. A guy who's maybe a legit middleweight against a guy who's probably a more kind of refined, refined, I mean, like filled out, like heavyweight. He was probably more a kind of career, like 168 fighter, I think. But yeah, it doesn't look good, I suppose. Maybe, I suppose, you know, if he wants it at some point, he can move back up and weight, I suppose, and take the rematch. I don't know if Bremer's still fighting, obviously, but
Bremer's not long for the sport, is he? I don't think so. No.
But he's got good investments and stuff, and he's into other things and stuff, trains fighters and that as well. So
He's doing all right for himself. I don't remember Brant being so high octane in the Bremer fight. Maybe Eddie Mustafa Mohammed has sat down and said, look, we're not going to beat fighters any other way. You might as well just drop down in weight, boil yourself down and you know, adopt this approach where you throw over 1,000 punches and just overwhelm people. So maybe he's playing to his strengths now. One thing that did occur to me, Ozzy, I know I was jesting earlier about ESPN and talking about Andre Ward and Tim Bradley, but boxing's a strange old sport, isn't it? Because ESPN, I mean, to me, sometimes it's just like propaganda TV. You think Sky is bad for this, but ESPN can just be a bit of a non-stop loving, because boxing's a strange sport, Ozzy, that you have like an in-house promoter, which means these commentators and analysts are pushing the product as much as they're calling the action. Whereas in other sports, you've got them sitting there and saying, you know, Man United are doing X, Y, and Z, Arsenal are doing this. This is like quasi-promotional, you know, they're there to sort of push what you're watching rather than just explain what you're watching.
I would say that's what a lot of boxing commentators do now, though. It's not just a case of pushing, you know, like the TV channel. It's pushing the fights. Adam Smith does it for Sky all the time. It's only recently where he's come out and said he was pissed off with the show earlier in the year, but he regularly speaks about when he's on commentary saying how, look, you know, like how much of a barnstormer of a card it is. But that's the day and age we're in now, in my opinion. I think it's that such a competitive market in which is a relatively, you know, like small, you know, like a small viewership and things like that, is that people are trying to swizz you. And I mean, naturally, you are influenced in terms of what you hear, unless you go into, you know, unless you have an utter dislike for a certain commentator and you just sit there thinking, shut up, you're a twat. But it's not a surprise to me now, and particularly with the ESPN. I mean, they're absolutely huge now. I mean, the subscribership, I think they released some numbers, and God, I think they're 3 times over what they expected to be at on their original predictions. So it shows how well they're doing. And if they've got commentators to basically just saying how good the product is, naturally, I think people who are tuning in for the first time will be influenced.
I think as well as that,
Rob Brant? Oh, go ahead.
I think as well as that, like boxing in the States is classed as sports entertainment, like isn't it? It's facing competition from the UFC, it's facing competitions from the wrestling, and it's the Entertainment Sports Network, is it not, ESPN? So they do package it up a little bit. But yeah, some of the ESPN stuff was sickening for the home fighter, like.
Oh,
I think you got it wrong there, Rob. I think it's the Electronic Sports Participation Network, according to David
I forgot. My bad.
Go on, Ozzy.
I was going to just a quick one on Brant though. I thought he boxed reasonably well, to be honest. Looked fit, strong, moved well. I thought it was a good finish as well, because I thought it would naturally just see it out on a point swing, but I thought it was a good shot that caused the caused the flurry of punches. I thought it was a relatively decent performance. I mean, he's come out and said he'd love a fight with Canelo, but in reality, what middleweight wouldn't? It's your pension all in one fight, pension and payday, big payday. You're laughing. I mean, the Brahma win. What was he caught cold a little bit? It was his first experience on the big stage. I don't know what the attendance was. He was also up in weight, 8 pound up. I mean, it's no coincidence that he dropped straight down to 160. I mean, if you can he went in at 168. I think he'd been floating around at middleweight as well, so it was probably his first opportunity up at 168. And regardless of how bad Brahma looked, he's obviously still experienced and the naturally bigger guy. Like we mentioned, he's worked hard. He's got into a position. I mean, he probably went over against Murata, and I think a lot of people thought Murata would beat him, and he did a real job, and it was an impressive performance. So he's done well to get in this situation. But in terms of a top middleweight, I'm not too sure about that. I actually think it will be a good fight in terms of if Billy Joe Saunders isn't going to fight, if the Andrade fight, whatever, falls through or something. I think a fight against Brant would be relatively useful in a sense that he would then edge his way towards a potential Canelo bout, being in a mandatory situation in that side of things, and that would naturally be more lucrative to him as well than a mandatory shot against Andrade. That saying, I don't think that will happen either.
No, I tend to agree with you there. I think I've been weight away from home inexperience, the occasion against a snake charmer like Jürgen Bremer. The same actually did happen to Bremer back in the day. Whenever he was on the way up, Bremer, he was a bit of a puncher, and he went in against Mario Voigt, who's famous for losing twice to Joe Calzaghe. We were getting knocked out in the first round by Calzaghe, and then having to rematch him again like 4 years later because he'd worked his way up. But anyway, Bremer dropped Voigt in the first round. It looked, for all intents and purposes, like he was going to get him out of there, and Voigt sort of old-manned him and outboxed him. And maybe there was a similar sort of situation with Brant and Brahma as well there, and he's hopefully learned from that. It does happen. Right, Ozzy, we're going to be going to Andy in a minute on the Philippines and the German cards. Before we do, Ozzy, I'm going to throw out 3 cards. You can tell me what you thought about these. First of all, Francesco Patera over in Belgium. We wondered what he'd be like after he beat Lewis Ritson. He got a unanimous decision win over Marvin Petit, defending his European lightweight title. Maybe of less interest also in Belgium, across the way in somewhere I'm not even going to try and pronounce, Yves Ngabu. He's no Dudu and Gumbu, 19-0, defeated Mickey Nielsen for the European Cruiserweight title. And also, Ozzy, Jesse Angel Hernandez, we called it last week. We thought that he might have his hands full with Thomas Patrick Ward, a.k.a. Tommy Ward. 89-100, 90-99. Looks like Tommy done the business.
He did, yeah. I've seen bits of the fight. It was on Box Nation, and it was a really
it was Box Nation,
yeah. I think he dropped him in the 4th as well, and it was a peach of a shot, absolutely cracking shot. And it shows that Ward, he may not have the concussive power, but I mean, to drop someone, you've got to have some sort of pop, and it wasn't a flash knockdown either. Brilliant shot. I think it was a left hook, and I said it last week under the influence that Tommy Ward, he's a tremendous boxer. All comes natural, movement, the way he puts his shots together, really good. He naturally lacks power. I think he's only got 2 stoppages, but I mean, he's gone into the away corner. He's had to take this opportunity. I can't remember if it was for a ranking belt or it was for some sort of eliminator.
IBF eliminator?
It was an IBF eliminator, so it was a nigh on perfect performance, but barely dropped around. He was excellent, absolutely excellent. And I mean, he signed a promotional deal with Frank Warren when the BT deal came in. I think he fought twice, and that was about it. So I'd like to see. I mean, even if Eddie Hearn picks him up, gets him, an opportunity over here on a Ritson card, as a potential final eliminator, and then he's got the super bantams in his stable on DAZN, from where Ward could go abroad and box over there in America. So that wouldn't be thinking. But I like Tommy Ward. I watched him against Sean Davis, I think I said, and he was really impressive and decent enough kid, good boxer. Lots to like about him, really. Over to in one of the cards in Belgium, that Yves and Gabu. He actually did his full camp with Dominic Ingle over in Sheffield. I saw that on social media, so I've not seen any of the fight whatsoever. I think Andy may be able to shed a bit of light on Mickey Nielsen because he's from. I know he watches a bit of like the Danish stuff, etc., things like that. But I'm just on Nielsen's record, and
he failed the drugs test. I think he fought. Who did he fight in South Africa recently?
Did he fail it in something like South Africa? But then,
so it wasn't recognised. The testing authority, I don't think was recognised by. I honestly forget the right terminology, but he didn't get banned as such. He got off with really in a technicality, but he did fail a drugs test.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just looking at his record now, and it's full of absolute shit, isn't it? Talk about literally another pointless career, 25 wins, nobody really of note on there, and then he stepped up against this Ngabu, which I've got to admit I've never seen him box before, but he's the. It wasn't for the proper European title, that was it. Was it for was it like the minor version, the EBU?
No, I think it was the
full title
one. Yeah.
Oh, was it the full title? Oh, okay.
Both him and Patera were fighting for the European.
Yeah, he's won it before. He won it after Dmitry Kucher vacated, I think, Ozzy, at the end of 2016.
Yes, yeah, I'm just looking at that. Like, right, yeah, so stand corrected there. So, I mean, obviously, he boxed for it this time last year. He's won it, whether he's won it again or something like that, or he's just defended the belt. So he can't be far off, some sort of probably, in line for a world title shot now, if he gets one more defence under that. And again, in Belgium, again, Patera. Obviously, I think Sean Dodd beat this guy before Lewis Ritson did or something like that. So I think that was a contentious loss. But obviously, he blasted back on the scene against Ritson and did a big job on him. And then did he box the French guy, Marvin Petit? Don't really know what to expect to them, but it's a typical European fight, isn't it? Something like that. A solid enough win. And again, he probably inches closer to on the way to a possible world title shot if he can keep hold of that European belt. So
I just thought it was interesting, Ozzy, in that, the way he came after the Ritson fight, you could read a lot into it if he'd have lost, or, the fact that he's won maybe is decent, that type of thing.
Yeah, look at the Marvin Petit as well. It's hard to judge these guys, isn't it? Because naturally you don't see a lot of them. I mean, Petit's only loss prior to that was actually against Ivan Mendy at lightweight, and obviously we all know Ivan Mendy for inflicting the defeat on Luke Campbell. But it's hard to judge, off what these guys. I mean, he's a former European champion as well, but it's hard to judge off what these guys are about, unless you watch them or you've seen a number of fights. The kind of unknown quantities. I mean, we've seen it with the Spaniards coming over recently, or when the UK lads have gone to Spain. The records don't seem all of that, but they are hidden gems of sorts. I mean, Laraya and then Garcia they're both outstanding prospects and fighters. But on reality, on paper, you look at them and you think, well, are they just, your typical, like European fighter who haven't really fought much and then they get exposed? But more and more often now, we're seeing that as the complete opposite. So Patera clearly got something about him, and it's going to be interesting to see who they put him in with next, whether the European EBU put a mandatory on him or he heads up to world level.
Yeah, MB in the chat, it was all over the action last night. He said Patera versus Petit was a very good fight. He also said that Tommy Ward dropped Hernandez with a lovely left hook and the referee was threatening to stop it at times. So it sounds like it was a good performance. And just wrapping up the stuff from the weekend. Like I said, action from the Philippines, action from Germany. A familiar name, Dave Penalosa, puts me in mind of the great Jerry Penalosa. He was some fighter.
Well, just as you mentioned that, mate, Dave Penalosa is actually the nephew of Jerry, and he's his son, the Dory Boy. Dory
Brilliant,
Boy
there
was
you go then.
was the IBF champ in that. I just thought it was one. I was just wanting to mention these two fighters actually, Dave Penalosa and Carlos Cesar Penalosa. I don't know if they're related. I don't think so, but both of them actually laid out their opponents there last night with body assaults. I love a body knockout, but the Carlo one actually was a right hook to the pit of the stomach. Just basically folded up the Thai fighter, and the Dave Penalosa, I think he fought a Marcos Cardenas, knocked him down like 3 times in round 4. Just basically, really kind of like really rewired him a wee bit. He was all over the place and just forced the referee to step in and stop the fight. And just a wee bit of note on that card as well that John Casamiro, I think he'd fought Charlie Edwards back in the day.
Yes.
Ex-title holder. I don't know if he vacated or he was stripped. He won a 6-round knockout as well last night on that card. And as for Germany, you probably mentioned, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Abbas Barrio. He won a 12-round decision against Carlos Molina. It was kind of hard fought as well. I've said it before. I think this guy, it was a good step up at the right time from him. He was 4-0 at the time, 5-0 now, 2 knockouts. He's a light middleweight, so I really don't know how he's. That should be him ranked now because that was for some vacant WBC title thing. So it should be him ranked with the top 50, I would imagine soon. Probably made to earn it a wee bit. He was working the jab. He was attacking. He was in defending. He was moving. He did pretty well, I thought. And Leon Boone, who light heavyweight, I like to see him try, if possible, try and get himself down to super middleweight actually, because I just didn't really kind of see him do much. Well, probably I would maybe see him maybe go up to as far as European level, but I just think he's going to get eaten alive at light heavyweight. The guy who fought Viktor Polakov, I know he's a tough Ukraine journeyman. He's fought like Gavor and Holskin and all the guys. That he'll serve up and take you rounds. So it was probably a good learning fight for him. But if it is at all possible, can he squeeze himself at 168? I'd like to see him do it.
Well said, Andy. You got Andy on the call there for episode 310 of the Nuthouse podcast. Gabe's with us as well. Ozzy and Rob will be going on to Bellew of the Weeks a little bit later on. Looking forward to the Eubank DeGale fight as well, which is next week, pay-per-view. If you're in the chat, give us a shout out and tell us how you think that one's going to go. We'll be getting onto it shortly. Also, all the rest of the previews. A few questions, including a Dom McNamara question. They're always fun, aren't they? Got one of them waiting in the wings for us as well. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you're in the chat. Hit the thumbs up. Give us a little like there if you can. Right, Gabe, you know what time it is next week, don't you? It's Tony Luis time. Old Hammer Fists is back. Juan Jose Martinez is the opponent. What do you reckon, Gabe? Do you think Tony Luis is going to get him out of there by knockout?
I think he's going to get knocked out myself. Well,
still got beef with him, Gabe. Still got beef.
I don't know that he's ever going to listen to us again after my question. It was never meant to be offensive, but the guy took serious offense to me asking how he deals with fights and how he feels like his particular style with what I think may be considered a lack of power. I mean, if we were talking about anybody else who was or was not on our show or any other show for that matter, would you look at his statistics and say, this is a guy that screams tons of power?
Gabe, it was the way you worded it, though, man. You said, how do you manage to win fights being such a pussy puncher? I mean, it was a bit harsh.
That's not how I said it at all. That's not how it came. We need to go back to I need to go back to the archives and listen to that again because I don't think it came out the way I intended for it to. I intended to play that one a little bit.
Disrespectful, I thought.
What's that?
I thought it was disrespectful.
I'm trying to put it a little bit more.
You call it
a little bit more politically correct, I guess, if you want to call it that. Because I my thought process is anybody in the sport of boxing is going to be a solid puncher. Like you don't get anywhere near this sport without being some level of talented with your hands. You know what I mean? And so, I feel like a lot of times the way that he fought or fights may have not been in his best interest. But anyway, with what I consider to be maybe a lower level of power, maybe that's a better way to put it. Anyway, he got pissed. I'll watch the fight. Tony, if you're listening, bud, I'm not sorry. I see things like I see them and I calls it like I sees it.
Tony, you may get your wife to break the eggs. That's what Gabe's saying, basically. Right, moving on. Emmanuel to go. I'm only joking, Gabe. No, I'm sure Tony Reese's manager got in touch to get him the opportunity to come on the asylum. I haven't heard from him lately, the manager, so I don't think Tony will be coming back, so don't worry about it. Emmanuel to goes in action next Saturday evening.
I'm going to shoot him a message and try to get him on.
You do that. He's going in against Vyacheslav Gusev for the vacant IBF international lightweight title. Emmanuel to go, the O'Hara Davis lookalike. Go and look him up on BoxRec. What about this one then, Rob? This is a fight that you're getting pumped up for. People said Eddie Hearn, he can't meet the dates, he can't meet the requirements of DAZN and Sky Sports and all this. And here he is, just throwing out the shows like nobody's business, like Floyd throwing out money in those strip clubs.
Come on, give it to us, Steve. Give it to us.
Mexico next week, Rob. Brandon Rios against Humberto Soto, Battle of the Legend.
Jesus Christ, man.
It
have to be Mexico if Brandon Rios is getting a license anyway. I'll tell you that much.
I'd rather watch fucking Nigel Benn, Chris Eubank 3, man. Fucking watch this pish.
That fight is going to be so. Like, Brandon Rios couldn't be any more shot. Like, unless he was in front of a firing line. Like, he's so shot, it's ridiculous. He's another waste of a career, actually. That's
Brandon Rios right now.
Yeah, just absolute fights with his face for the last 10 years. Overweight now, slow. Power hasn't carried up the weight, really. Like, what the fuck are we watching? Like, Brandon Rios and Humberto Soto. But they're both tough. They're both warriors. They're both Mexicans. It's in Mexico. They've come to fight. They're proud of their heritage. You know what I mean? The narrative writes itself. Like, let's all tune in for Brandon Rios and Humberto fucking Soto.
Rob, you missed a bit out there, mate. You should have said, what you got to understand, Cougs?
Oh, yeah.
You should have started it off there, then you could have went into that.
Legends. Now, and this is the same promoter that was saying Manny Pacquiao was faded. Well, if he's faded, what the fuck is Brandon Rios? He's out of fucking sight, isn't he? Faded. Fucking do me a favour.
I want to see CT scan by you. I want to see how he fucking passes fucking brain scans.
Andy, you know what? I agree. You see, with all sincerity, though, right? I hope there's some kind of insurance on this fight because this is not going to end well, man.
Fucking Mexico, Steve, for fuck's sake, man. My sister had to wait 3 years to get a wedding certificate through for fucking Mexico, man. Fuck. You're talking about insurance? Are you fucking kidding me? Fuck off.
Who's going to win? Come on, Rob. Who's going to win by what method? Come on.
Fucking hell, man.
One of them's gonna piss off a cartel, and hopefully the cartel opens fire on the fight, and that's the only positive outcome I could see from that one.
Someone's going
joke fight.
Someone's going to win.
It's 2019, like it's 2019. Brandon Rios, give me a fucking on telly. Give me a fucking break, will you? Come on.
I mean, fuck, man.
Fucking subscribing, Andy, to the zone.
You're asking who the winner's going to be, Steve. It's going to be
the zone.
The winner.
The fucking Twilight Zone. That's what it is. Brandon Rios.
He's raging, Andy. He's raging.
Yeah, he's got every right to be raging. I mean, fucking hell. Soto was like last relevant, like back, 2010? I mean, his fucking best days. I mean, Christ, I think his best days were like lightweight or featherweight. Even his lightweight days.
Joanne Guzman outboxing him in 2007.
Lining up that classic battle for the future. Victor Ortiz versus Brandon Rios. We all want to see it. We all want to see it in 2019. Fucking hell. That's what the narrative's going to be. Sitting at ringside is Victor Ortiz, still in his Dancing with the Stars outfit from 2010. Fucking hell.
No, I don't think he's I don't think he's sitting ringside, to be honest.
He beat Manny's brother 12 years ago, right? Manny's brother, right? That was before he lost to fucking Eubank Jr, right? He's then got fucking wins over, like, say, Jesus Chavez, who's a decent enough fighter back in his prime days, I suppose, and that, right? Jorge Solis, but this has gone back like fucking 15 years ago. Humberto Soto, right? And Brandon Rios, listen to this. Just listen to this for a second. They are headlining a card on TV, right? By Eddie Hearn. Are we never going to fucking learn? Is the Yanks never going to fucking... We've been telling you for years, this is the shit that he serves up. And by the way, you're asking me who the winner's going to be? The winner's probably going to be fucking a brilliant aneurysm, because no good of this can come of this fight. What's the fucking point of sending Rios to get fucking punch drunk? He already is fucking punch drunk. What's the point of fucking ending any quality life he's got left? And Soto... Again, danger. Okay, he's been campaigning at welterweight for a number of years and stuff like that, but he's like, fuck it, he must be pushing 40 now. And, you know, okay, he's got wins and stuff, but, you know, against, like, say, journeyman club fighters in Mexico and stuff, you know, it's just shit. It's shit all round.
Brandon Rios once compared getting punched in the face to having an orgasm, so it's going to be like a fucking bukkake for him next Saturday.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
I remember Brandon Rios. Who's it you fucking fought? Was it the guy? Was it no Antilli? Acosta? And he's fucking, as Rob says, in between rounds and stuff like that. He's in between. He's just took a slack and fucking shitloads of punches in that round. And he sits there like that with Robert Garcia, and he says, "I love this shit, man." I'm like, dude, just quick fucking defend him with your face, man. Get the gloves up, move the head, fucking body movement, step to the side and throw punches. Instead of coming forward, hands up and getting fucking peppered up and down the middle, up underneath, down to the side. You're a walking punch bag. And look at you, you sound like Muhammad Ali when he was like the early starts of fucking Parkinson's, for fuck's sake.
Well, Andy, if you think this comeback's good, Callum B informs me in the chat that Oliver McCall is also making a comeback in a couple of weeks' time.
Seriously, Oliver McCall.
Yeah.
Oh my word, he must be what?
Headlining on DAZN versus David Price. We all want to see it. Well, Oliver McCall, he's overcome his demons from the cocaine. He wants to be finally vindicated from quitting against Lennox Lewis. And 2019 is the year to do it versus David Price. Live on DAZN and Sky.
The thing is, though, Rob, you make a good point there, because Editing King makes a similar point in the chat. Rob, he says DAZN can't be seriously getting any subscribers from this. I mean, this is just filling airtime.
I just even filling it with all the fighters, like with all the fighters in the world, you're filling airtime with that. Like, how is that fight getting fucking made? Like, joke.
Danny Williams is getting back in the ring as well, I think, in the next 2 weeks.
No. Is he on a Latvian license still?
I think so, yeah. Well, to be honest, he's in a rich vein of form. In his past 7 fights, he's won 6. So, like I said, rich vein of form for Danny Williams. But no, this guy should not be fighting. Likewise, Oliver McCall, he's 53. And he's against the 9-3-4 Ronald Backer in... God, I don't even know where that is. Robstown. Oh, it's been...
Friggin' Chewbacca? Put him in Chewbacca.
It's Gabe from Texas. Just want to clarify that.
No,
If so...
Yeah, you easier.
It is
I
in...
am.
Gabe, where is Robstown?
Rob's. Hold on.
I've just noticed that fight actually. He's I fucking just deleted it, bastard. Talking about Oliver McCall still, eh?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep, he's fighting
Ronald Backer, 8-rounder.
Chewbacca.
Yeah, Robstown, Texas.
Put Backer in your acker.
Well, Gabe's from Texas, so he may be able to...
Here we are. So
Where is it?
It's the
Down
birthplace.
far in South Texas, close to the Gulf.
It's the birthplace of Texas Hold'em poker. There we go.
You going, Gabe?
Total population of 11,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be chocker for this one. Like,
No,
Yeah,
there's no
comeback of all comebacks.
shit. It would take me all day to drive down there.
I'd rather watch him play in Texas Hold'em poker, to be honest.
At 53, you'd expect it, wouldn't you?
It's a sad state of affairs, though, isn't it? That you're still seeing people like Oliver McCall and Danny Williams getting into a boxing ring. I mean, and it must purely just be for financial gain. I don't get why they're still getting into the ring. I mean, boxing out like commissions and things like that should be taking a long hard look at himself and thinking, no, sorry, we're not going to sanction you. You're just simply not fit for purpose. Well, someone eventually will get seriously hurt. I mean, fit guys now are getting hurt who train regularly. People, I mean, fucking, what is he, 56, McCall or something like that?
53.
Danny Williams, 53. Danny Williams been, like I said, just absolutely just a shadow of him former self. What is the point?
Well, Callum B comes in with a good one in the chat. He said maybe we can get Danny Williams versus Oliver McCall. If they both win, the winner could fight Frez Oquendo, and then I'll add on myself. Then Frez, if he wins, could fight Jameel McCline. Finally, the fight that everybody wants to see.
I think thinking like Edward Hearn here. Edward's got that in his mind already. DAZN headlining, probably return to Robstown as well. You know, that great place in Texas. So we'll have to wait and see. promoter Raymond Guzman, whoever that is promoting Oliver McCall's next fight.
Carl the Truth Williams on the undercard.
It's Mitch Blood Green.
Another one, actually, thinking about it, Scott Harrison is looking to get his license back as well.
Oh, he's always doing that, though, isn't he? He was with the Malta crowd last.
Well, yeah, he's looking to get one back with the British Boxing Board, so that's going to be interesting. I think he must be 45, something like that. Not 14, 6 years.
Not sure that's a good idea, to be honest. Understatement of the year. Anyway, Ozzy, tell me about this one next Saturday evening. Is it on? Is it off? We don't know. We're talking about a Frank show here. BT Sports. Sam Bowens going in against Ryan Wheeler. Anthony Yard, replacement opponent Travis Reeves. CJ Challenger, a few other guys. Is it going ahead?
Well, as far as I'm aware, sources have told me that the show is actually postponed. BT not happy. Too many, changes of opponents. Fighters dropped off the show due to, injuries, etc., things like that. And it's being rearranged for sometime in March. In that sense, I won't be shocked if Yard's fight either got moved to Frank's announcing a show in London tomorrow, all being well. So I won't be shocked to see if Yard either got moved to that against Mehdi Amar again. It's a nuisance. I mean, it's a joke for a start. I mean, we're going into fight week and the show's going to get pulled. It's a fucking piss take. It's not fair on the paying fans that are going down, booked hotels, paid for tickets. Some may, booked holidays off work if they're going down, for like weigh-ins, etc., things like that. It's not right, particularly when things are now leaking on social media as well. They should have the decency to come out. I mean, said it's all bad PR for them. I understand, look, it was never ideal. Ronnie Clark got a really bad injury, may never box again. That's not ideal. Mehdi Amar suffered some sort of injury. It's your two headline fights that you're struggling to replace in a way. It's postponed until, I don't know the exact date. It's just sometime in March. And like I said, in a situation now from where Eddie Hearn is spreading himself so lightly across so many different countries, trying to fill fight dates, this is a perfect opportunity for Frank to put, a genuine claim to say that, yeah, I am one of the better promoters now, particularly in the UK. And he seems to scupper it at every opportunity. And it only impacts himself, the fighters, because people will not want to buy tickets because they don't know if the events are going to go ahead. So it's like the team there never learn. It's poor PR, it's poor handling of the event, and the only people that suffer are not only the boxers who probably won't get paid anything, but the paying public as well.
Yeah, hopefully it can get resolved. It doesn't look good for Frank, does it, to be honest with you? One thing that does look good, Andy, is the appearance of the Japanese monster. We know Inoue is coming over to Scotland, and Darren Cope is hitting you with a question regarding this particular event. With Inoue fighting in Scotland, says Darren, could you break down his resume so far? 3-weight world champion and 17 fights. He's beaten 5 or 6 champions. I know Andy knows his Japanese fighters, so it would be good to get some knowledge on his best wins. So he's 17-0, Andy, with 15 knockouts, 25 years of age. He's flipped up through the weights a little bit. I know you've mentioned this before, haven't you? Talking about like Koi Kono. Obviously, got Payano there, who he starts. Jamie McDonnell. Carmona's been in and around the world scene. Omar Narvaez may be sort of done by that point. Ryuichi Taguchi, you know better than me. What about Inoue? Give us the lowdown on this beast.
Well, I'll start with early in his career. Obviously, it was very early. Won the Japanese light flyweight title against Ryuichi Taguchi. The people would remember them actually. They beat Melindo and Butler, he lost to Butler. He's fighting Kosi Tanaka, I think it's next month, for a world title as well. He then stepped up and he fought when he won his first world title actually against Adrian Hernandez. It was a 6-round stoppage, good win. Then obviously I think the hand problems kind of started coming up as well because I think he'd had quite a few. I think it was the right hand actually, and he obviously come back. He beat Narvaez and he beat Paranes, and it was like say 2 back-to-back quick defences, which he really needed actually because the managers were really kind of building up. Kono I think was probably slightly past his peak at that point actually, but he's to be honest, he was always good value in that. But to be honest, I think it was just like a faded vet fighting a guy who was coming at his physical peak probably. Piano, I would need to give him props for that one. He's generally a tough fighter. And I'm going to add McDonnell in there as well, because McDonnell was always someone at bantamweight who, regardless domestically, European level, and that he was always there. Libero Solis, okay, it was unfortunate and stuff. It really was unfortunate, but well, I mean, the rematch, obviously, he'd lost the. I personally thought he lost the first fight, but to go on the road and beat like Kameda, who again was at his peak, decent, two decent wins. He had the home win against was it Julio Cesar, so good win. Stuart Hall, when he obviously went on the road to defend the European title. I forget the guy's name. I think he went to France actually. And he's obviously got wins against Ian Napa and I think, as I say, Stuart Hall and Stephen Jamoy and that. So, Jimmy McDonnell can always say he's had a very, very good career and stuff, but I think at that point you could see he'd drained. I mean, I really don't know if it was something today where, like say, they'd left it late, but I know they did their camp in Dubai, and then they flew out to Japan for there on it. So I don't know if he's maybe retained water, because it's a cunt of journey when you fly east, like, and it can really fuck up your sleeping patterns and stuff. But he's obviously retained water, I think, and he's had to dump a lot of it, kind of like really kind of late doors, because he looked like death on the scales. But if this tournament does keep going ahead and stuff, I think beating like said Rodriguez and who's it Tete, and who's the other one in the other semis? Is it
we've got Rodriguez, Inoue, and Tete against Donaire.
You just don't know with Tete. You could see Tete there enough to lose that fight, couldn't you? Yeah, you really could. I would say at this point, Inoue, beating Rodriguez and maybe beating whoever, Tete, Donaire and stuff like that, you're gonna have to say he's definitely on the knockings top 4 pound per pound. But yeah, that's his record for me. Stuff, he's for early doors he was always touted to be, something special, and guys obviously, I mean, fighting like say he's like, I think it was his pro opponent and stuff like that. That guy, and his pro opponent, sorry, I think he'd been like say either a regional champion or whatever, out the Philippines or whatever, and that. So that was the kind of level he was mixed at kind of very early in his career, and they beat like say Takeuchi, who would then go on and become a world champion in his own right and stuff like that. It's like in his 4th fight, very, very impressive and stuff. And the other thing as well, so I think Inoue coming through the way he did, probably to a lesser extent Kazuto Ioka. I think Inoue's rise to success has really opened the door for other Japanese fighters who are really pushing it and really want to kind of come in quick. There's Tanaka now. I think he's a 3-weight world champion, minimum weight, light flyweight, and flyweight. And as I say, he's fighting I forget who he's fighting there now, but so I think he's really kind of opened the door for a lot of these guys. And it seems to be the Japanese didn't seem to be giving a fuck about padding records. It seems to be more like if you're good enough, we'll stick you in there and see how you get on and stuff. And one thing they'll always do, the Japanese fighters, they will never quit, and they'll always leave it on the line. Always.
They're fit as hell, aren't they?
Oh
Stereotypically,
my fucking hell! I mean, I didn't want to be kind of like stereotypical as you say, mate, but you just never know. I mean, their upbringing, their parents. Their absolute incessant need to be like, be focused, be respectful, work hard, do your education. But if you're going to be obviously really good at sports and stuff like that, then you give it your beans, give it your balls and stuff like that. And it's the old Eastern Asian saying and stuff like that. You'd rather fucking, die in your feet or rather live on your knees fucking as a coward or whatever it was, or however that old saying used to go. But no, these guys are always fucking mean. They're always ready to fight. But I will say this actually, a lot of Japanese fighters going to America, their record. I like to see the records for that actually going to America winning fights, because I think it'll be very, very poor. As I said, you Kameda, Arakawa's been over across that as well. A couple of Japanese fighters and stuff. So I think the record will be quite poor actually going over to the States having to fight.
Yeah, Inoue is definitely at the top level of the sport. That fight with Rodriguez, really looking forward to that one whenever it lands in and around May time. Sticking around the top end of the sport, Gabe, only hitting you with the big ones here. When I think of big-time boxing, I think Minnesota. I think Brady's Prescott on the undercard. You know what I'm saying here? Anthony Darrell against Avni Yildirim, vacant WBC super middleweight title. Doesn't get much better than this, Gabe. Darrell versus Yildirim. Who you got?
That's actually, I think that could turn into a good fight. Anthony Darrell, who is better than his brother,
I think tends to put on good fights.
I think he's sturdier than his brother. I'm not sure if he's technically better, but he's definitely tougher.
Maybe that's the case. Yeah, maybe that's what I'm getting at. But his brother has no balls. The kid, I enjoy watching his fights. He's not always in really friendly fights. You know, you watch him and they're always easy on the eyes. But he typically puts on a good performance. He seems like he is mentally there, whereas his brother, I think most people would probably say, just kind of, I don't really know. Just he when it gets tough, he starts looking for a way out. To me, Yildirim, who I think I had picked to beat. Who did I have him beaten? He was in the last Super Series, wasn't he?
Yeah. Did you pick him to beat Eubank Jr.?
Maybe.
Oh dear, Gabe.
Maybe. I thought he might have a chance on that one. But
Shame on you, Gabe. Shame on you.
It should not be good to watch. Now, it really kind of goes back to if you really want to watch a fight here with a couple of guys who maybe aren't going to be huge draws, who aren't huge star power guys, who there will be some meaning to this fight that it'll help put them both back in a position to contend for a world title on a bigger stage. But I think it's a solid fight. And did I hear right? Did you say British Prescott?
Yes, you certainly did hear right, Gabriel. Bradis Prescott is on the undercard. He's 31-15-0 now against Bryant Perella, who is 15-2. It's over 8 rounds at welterweight.
Look, now I'll go on to say that I've been in the past a huge detractor of Amir Khan. Huge detractor. When he was coming up earlier in his career, I said, there's no way this guy's going to do everything a lot of people were pegging him to do, you know, as far as being a top flight, elite level guy. And I will be big enough to admit that in some ways he has done that. He gets big fights. He looks good in a lot of fights. He gets knocked out spectacularly. He honestly brings a ton of credibility to the table because you don't know what's going to happen. You know that what he brings to the table is going to be speed, quickness, and a chin that is perfect for a puncher. It's just a matter of if he gets hit, how's he going to react to it? And so a lot of it there for me is in terms of excitement, like what's going to happen with Khan getting into the ring. So early on, I was a detractor, and I tell that to go on to say I still hope to see Bradish Prescott do some good things. He had that one magical moment, and then really the last fight I remember seeing him. Didn't he fight Mike Alvarado quite a while back? I believe he did. I think that's who it was. That's the last fight I really see. I can't even remember who it was, so that may tell you a little bit of something. But I would like to see him do well. You know, he had a shining moment for me in starching Amir Khan, so I wouldn't mind seeing that happen again. But overall, I don't think the card's for these two fights horrible. I don't know what else the card consists of, but I think that main fight that we just talked about, I think it could be pretty good.
Yeah, Bradis Prescott is getting a bit of a run out, isn't he, from promoter Leon Margules. Whenever Bradis Prescott fought Paul McCluskey back in, when was it, 2010, 2011, something like that, he came over and me and Margules had a little bit of a disagreement over a chair. So there's a definite intense beef situation there.
We fucked them up. Who do you think they are, Steve?
I was ready to start throwing hands, Rob, you know.
Well, I tell you, as far as throwing hands, I'd rather watch you versus Ungulov than Andre Darrell or Anthony Darrell versus fucking or robotic Turk in Yildirim.
Rob, tell me this, right? You see, if you got the two Darrell brothers, threw them into a blender, and then threw a bit of Leon Lawson in as well, you could sort of mix up one hell of a fighter, couldn't you?
Throw a bit of Abraham in there to hit the two of them after the bell. I lost, man. No, you didn't. No, like I don't want to sound too negative because there's good fights coming up, and I'm all for them. I'm all for Spence versus Garcia, all for Crawford versus Khan, Fury versus Wilder 2, lighting my fire. But Darrell versus Yildirim again on TV. I don't know what's going on in this last few weeks, man. The dogs are fucking cracking up here in Wexford over this. It's fucked up. Darrell versus Yildirim, the fella who got fucking knocked out with one punch by Chris Eubank, versus a guy who was washed up, either version, the brother or the other one, washed up and wasted. Good boxers, but yeah, a bit of quit in both of them. Like, and although I did think your man beat Frotch with his plastic nose in Nottingham.
Had to mention him, didn't you? It wouldn't be a night without mentioning Frost. It wouldn't be a night without mentioning Eddie either.
Did we get to? Did I miss the fucking the big baby announcement, or did we get to that yet?
We haven't got to that yet, Rob. So just settle yourself down. We're getting there.
Hyped up.
You know, I think Rob's a little bit amped up for that discussion because he's been kind of. It seems like he's building to a crescendo of rage so far. This is a good fight, Rob. I mean, it's not the best fight. On paper, it doesn't look great.
Dave, go away with that bullshit. You know this is not a good fight, dude. Come on, like this is not a good fight.
You're looking completely. See, you're setting yourself up to be amazed when you actually watch it. You know, whenever I watch it, I'm gonna be honest about what you see there, and I'll tell you, it was a decent fight. It was a poor fight, but this is not a bad fight. Anthony Darrell is typically not in terrible fights. He's had a few fights that were kind of steep, but you know, overall, I think
he's shit. He's shit. Gabriel, you're the forever optimist, dude.
Well, maybe that's my flaw.
First it's Darrell, now it's Rob Brant. Everyone's getting it, but I know Frotch was mentioned.
Carl, just take your plastic nose and fuck off back to Poland, you fucking prick.
Oh dear, I've lost where
Can we get Carl on the show?
I wouldn't have thought so.
He would accuse us all of being Andre Ward arse lickers.
That's okay. I'd love to get him
with
on
his
the show.
plastic nose.
Right, let's move on, boys. Rob did allude to it there. The Jarrell Miller-Anthony Joshua fight has been announced. I have a couple of questions from the boys, so we shall sort of tackle it from that point of view. Andy, first one to you. It's coming from... Who's it coming from? Let's have a look, shall we? Mr. Okaz. He says, I'm guessing booking out a stadium is not like a restaurant or a hotel booking where you only need to give 24 hours notice, i.e. cancellation, postponement, etc. So, Andy, I wonder how much Hearn has lost, as I'd imagine you'd have to pay Wembley some sort of down payment. It's an interesting angle he's coming from it here, isn't it, Andy? I never really thought about this, but right enough. You know, they made the big announcement. The fights are going to be at home, aren't they? But they're going to have to put some money down. Wembley aren't going to want to be shoved out the way too easily.
Yeah, I mean, they did. We all know this, but they've overplayed their hands. I can't comment intelligently as to how much money they've lost. I think they lost some sort of booking fee. I'm not even going to pretend I know how much we're talking about. I'd imagine it's a fair amount of money, like, but you know, to them it's not a lot of money. I mean, I'm not going to put a figure on it, but the whole situation, I dare say we can get right into it. I suppose, you know, Jarrell Miller, you know, probably. Josh was saying it's like, you know, he was the fourth fighter on their list. They can talk about all they want. It's about testing the American market and stuff. This is purely based on, put it this way, if Fury Wilder hadn't turned out to be as good as what it was or had that drama, there is no way Josh would be fighting in America right now. He'd be fighting in fucking Wembley come April. But no, this is them trying to get out in front. They've been called out, the American press, you know, all the fucking American platforms, you know, after Wilder Fury and stuff like that, they were gasping for more. You know, in fact, the fight was that interesting and entertaining. In fact, Fury and Wilder were actually fucking, you know, interviewed or were sought upon to even speak further on American TV networks. You know, that's how good the fucking fight was. So meanwhile, Joshua flies out to America, go on holiday, go on ESPN, fucking just makes an absolute arse of himself. And here we get Jarrell Miller. You know, Dillian White's obviously going to be getting pushed about. So here we are. You know, you can say all you want about it. Actually, at the end of the day, you know, it is a shit opponent. It is an awful fight. I did say to you guys and that as well as. I really don't know if it's going to go rounds. I really don't know how long it's going to go. But I would say to you guys, considering that Joshua has stamina problems, you know, to be punching a 300-pound guy, you know, even if he does manage to go so many rounds and stuff like that, that's going to take it out of you. If you can't know, you know, a 300-pound guy is going to take some fucking shifting. End of the day, I don't care if you're heavyweight or not. But his options obviously were limited. You know, at the end of the day, he's fighting Miller purely based off his own fucking faults. Him and Hearn, greed, money. So always, it makes the world goes round. If there's no enough or too much, it always causes fucking problems. Cash. That's always been the fucking issue. Wilder, Fury, they fucking made their enemy bed. They can go make millions and stuff like that. At the end of the fucking day, people can argue, oh, they want about 30 million this and 4 million fucking quid that. See, at the end of the day, if you're a smart motherfucker, by the way, or you don't even need to be smart, you just need to have a wee bit of common sense. Give me fucking 2 million quid over fucking 30 million pound and having to fucking fight for it. I'd take the 2 million and see you later. That's what I would fucking do. Put the fucking money in the bank, live off the interest. End of the day is, you know, Wilder, Fury, they're all they're gone. White's can basically price himself out of it, or he's no one to be pushed about. He could have fought Briswell. He could maybe have fought like a Rivas, who's like obviously like he's way undersized. His options were limited. The other opponents are shit. What can we do? Really, what can we do? Wait for Usyk to come up?
Yeah, they're talking about Usyk Povetkin, so hopefully we'll see Usyk up at some point trying to make a dent in the heavyweight division. Gabe, you're the main man when it comes to American boxing as far as I'm concerned. You know, I'm not trying to shit on them and all this, but I know that a lot of the reasons why they're bringing AJ over to America apparently is to give DAZN this sort of boost in the arm. You know, the budget isn't quite what we thought it was, Gabe. They're not getting as many subscribers as they perhaps thought they were. John Skipper, the former ESPN guy, it's my understanding, has sort of put the boot on and said, look, you know, we need somebody decent over here to sort of back up Canelo and get a few subscribers. Is AJ going to move the needle stateside, Gabe? Like I say, I'm not trying to shit on them completely, but is AJ really the appeal to the American fight fans that they think he is? Are people going to become long-term DAZN subscribers or even short-term DAZN subscribers off the back of this AJ Miller fight, do you think, Gabe? I mean, are they overplaying it?
I don't know. That's kind of a tough one to answer. You know, my position has been pretty apparent. I think I've made it known a few times on the way I view the average fans here in the States. I feel like it's hard to bring someone from another country here and have immense star power. Pacquiao was able to do that with Top Rank. There's been other guys that are able to do that. Triple G had I feel like a fairly decent following among American fans. You've got your built-in fan base with Mexicans here. The Hispanic crew here in the States will always be attentive to a Hispanic fighter, whether that means he's a Mexican or someone from South America. You've got a built-in fan base for those guys here. Bringing in someone else from another country is always going to be, to me, a difficult task to do ultimately successfully. By that, I mean to bring them to a level anywhere near Pacquiao's level, because at his prime, at his peak, the pay-per-view numbers were there. The ratings were there. And it's hard to do that. It's to me, a difficult task. You don't see that happen a lot for most guys that are brought in from other countries. I think the thing that AJ and Hearn have going for them is that the United States is rabid when it comes to heavyweight boxing. If we get a glimpse of someone, we in general, not me specifically, but this country, if we get a sniff of a legitimate heavyweight fighter coming here and putting on a good show, people are going to be mesmerized by that. And I think it's going to help sell. With the way that things are going now with the subscriptions to every fucking channel, now I can expand. So we've got ESPN Plus, we've got DAZN. Now we have UFC Fight Pass. Nico Hernandez, American Olympian, believe he won a bronze medal, fought this weekend, on Friday. The card was broadcast on Showtime, the higher portion of it. Several fights were on UFC Fight Pass, which is another subscription fee for $9.99, I believe, or something along those lines. The problem that I think is going to happen is without the television support, without the guy being on television, I think it's going to be really hard for them to bring him over here and build him into a star. I just don't see it happening because people aren't going to casually turn on the DAZN to see what's on. When fighting was on HBO, when it's on Showtime, when it's on Fox Sports, when it's on the TV channels that we get here, you can be scrolling through looking for a basketball game, a football game, a hockey game, whatever sport it is that tickles your fancy, soccer, whatever it is. And if you see a fight, you may flip it on that channel. And then you have the potential to have these guys tuning in to see these people that you're bringing over. But with such a specialized event like one on the DAZN, where you have to go to, if you've got a smart TV, click on that app, or if it's on your Xbox and click on that app, or if you're watching on your laptop, phone, whatever, you've got to intentionally go over and pick that up. And so there's already cutting out quite a few viewers that would normally maybe tune into that because they saw it on television. So I think there's a lot of issues with that model and trying to bring in a guy and build a star out of him and make him something here in the States. I don't think it's impossible, but I think what we're talking about is something that we haven't seen before, something that hasn't been done. And so there's no real blueprint to me on how to do that. Because if you're talking about Canelo, he was there before the DAZN started. So there's going to be subscribers to him. But AJ's never been here in a capacity that's going to make people tune in. So my answer, to shorten it all up, is I don't know. I don't know if they can bring him over here on the DAZN to be a star. My thought is they would really need to get him on some television station to really help build him up, which I don't believe is going to happen with the way they've got their deals worked out. But he can. He's going to have to make great performances consistently. And when I say that, I'm talking about first-round knockouts. I'm talking about highlight reel knockouts. I'm talking about the full package. You're talking early Mike Tyson ferocity. And I don't think that he's got that ability. I don't think that he's got that attitude. And I don't think Hearn's going to put him in with guys that he's going to be able to do that against. And so for me, I think it's not going to happen. I think it's going to take a really long time for AJ to ever be a draw if he ever does accomplish that here in the United States. I just don't see it happening based on what we're seeing. I think it'll take a few generations of streaming services and knowledge of how to do that. I think if Hearn had a TV platform, it would be much easier, but I don't think it's going to be an easy task at all.
Yeah, no, I've mentioned it before, but I wonder how long they can go on with DAZN being like $10 a month, and you're getting AJ, they got Usyk, Bellew, Canelo, all these type of things. Whereas they're looking for, say people in the UK to pay Sky subscriptions. If you're only a boxing fan, you're not interested in anything else. You're paying your monthly subscription fee plus a £20 pay-per-view on top. Whereas over abroad, it's $10 for the month. You're getting AJ included in that. It doesn't seem to add up. People are going to cotton onto that, especially if long term, like they're saying that DAZN are going to split away from Sky. It's not going to be a long-term deal. DAZN are going to look to attack the UK market under their own steam away from Sky. So how that's going to play out, I don't know. It'd be really interesting where the likes of Hearn and that are going to be sort of squeezed and split in the middle and trying to please all parties. It's going to be a tough juggling act anyway. Ozzy, we were mentioning that Anthony Joshua's US debut has broken Madison Square Garden pre-sales records. There were ballyhooing this during the week on email saying it sold out in 2 hours. Are the people clamoring for AJ, or is StubHub.us just flashing the cash?
StubHub, without a doubt. I think the bulk of a lot of the tickets have been put on resale as well. It's no shock it's broke a record when the tickets are the most expensive the arena's seen. I mean, what was it for an in a ringside ticket? About $2,500-3,000.
What about the flights at £7,000?
Yeah. Oh no! I mean, the package itself, which was a 2-night stay in the near the venue, an in a ringside ticket, flights on the chartered AJ flight, and a party was $7,500, something like that. And I don't even think that gets you in a ringside. I think that's just a ringside ticket, and that's from $7,500 as well. They are looking. I mean, there's talk. I mean, I don't know how true it is that Joshua's getting just $30 million for this, and DAZN are putting up a lot of the money. I'll be astonished at that. that is some serious coin for a fight against Darrell Miller. I think you'd ask a lot of the fight. I always judge off what people think when they announce the fight and you look at the comments. Usually, I've always said, like I said, you could put him in against the Pig and people will clamber for tickets. When this fight was announced, people were underwhelmed and genuinely pissed off. They are sick of all the excuses and all the reasons and how literally it boils down to cash. Oh, percentages, splits. At the end of the day, nobody should care about that. Unless you are a member of Anthony Joshua's team, why do you care about the split? It doesn't affect you. You are not on a percentage. You are not his accountant where you will receive cash from this. And now people are either saying that you'll still have all the Joshua fan club who are bumming over him, etc., things like that. But no, I'm very disappointed. It just doesn't do anything for me. Will I be getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch Anthony Joshua, Darrell Miller? No. Will I be paying for it? No, because it doesn't do anything for me whatsoever. I agree with Andy. I think Miller will be quite tough to move. I mean, the guy's going to come in at, £300? And I've always said, when you look at him, he carries the weight well. He's not, like a slobby £300 guy like Lucas Brown was when he came in against Dillian White. He was a slob or a fat pig. But Darrell Miller carries it quite well. And I think his output for a guy of his size is actually quite good as well. So what's going to be interesting if Joshua can't blast him out early on, which I've always said he's not got the one punch concussive power that people like to think he has. He's more a sustained, like he lands one shot and then he swarms you, and he's an excellent finisher in that perspective. It's going to be interesting to see how he copes with Miller. I think Miller will get under his skin. I think he knows what buttons to press. I definitely think he'll rile him. So will that have like some sort of impact? Will he go in to try and knock his block off? And it won't work. So we're going to wait and see. But in terms of the fight, I think look, there's two fights that people want to see Anthony Joshua in with. It's Tyson Fury and it's Deontay Wilder. Being brutally honest, we are nowhere near seeing those fights whatsoever. For all they've said, they set these deadlines of, right, it needs to be agreed by the 1st of December. That deadline passed. They then set another deadline. That passed as well. At the end of the day, for the first time probably in his career, these guys are not in control. They're not in control because they've messed around and been greedy that much, and that Wilder and Fury surpassed all expectations. I think it's fair to say. The human interest and the public eye is more on them. That's why they've gone out to America to try and shift it back over. I mean, just after it happens, they found Joshua out there on like TV shows and things like that, just to get his face out there again. So it's an underwhelming fight, one that I don't know how it'll pan out. I suspect Anthony Joshua will win. I can't see him coming unstuck. But what will be interesting, like I said, is if Miller can force it into the later rounds and still maintain his vast output. But the fight here really is to get Joshua out in America, show him off, and then obviously try and get the ball back in his court for the winner of Fury against Wilder.
Yep. Sorry, chatting away in the old chat there. That's what you do. You get in the chat and you chat. Rob, you're quite chatty usually. What about Darrell Miller? He's had a lot to say for himself, hasn't he? Giving it the big shit one. How much is he getting paid? Do we think about 3 or 4 mil?
I think he's getting $7 million, isn't he? Like, so about £4 million.
That's not bad work, That's good, isn't it?
Fucking joke. That's a joke. Like, listen, this is the same Anthony Joshua said he's never going to go to the States. Then he says he's going to the States. He says he only wants the belts. He doesn't want to fight Fury because he hasn't got a belt. But he wants Deontay Wilder. Eddie's saying Deontay Wilder's team won't speak to us. But we've made Tyson Fury an offer, a derisory one, that we know he's not going to take. And now we've lowballed Dillian White because Fury and AJ have done so well, or Fury and Wilder have done so well in the States. We're not letting them steal a thunder. Let's not forget that Anthony Joshua was born in the post-Tyson Fury vacuum. Opportunism at its finest. He would have never been moved on to a world title in these 21 fights that they were talking about. If Tyson Fury had still been on the scene, he would have been dealt with at the time and he would have had to do it the hard way. But he's been matched things. He's been fortunate. But look who's come back Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury, and Eddie can't take it. And that's why they purposely lowballed Dillian White. That's why they purposely made a derisory offer to Tyson Fury. That's why they're saying, oh, Wilder's team won't talk to us, knowing full well that they turned down 50 million to fight Wilder. Turned down 50 million. And now we're getting Darrell, Big Baby Miller, a fucking sparring partner. Right? A sparring partner who's from the same neighborhood as Tyson. Oh, well, watch out. He's 25 stone, for fuck's sake. What is this like? The next, AJ said his next 3 fights, the fans get to choose. It's going to be White, Wilder, or Fury. Now we got Darrell, Big Baby Miller. But I tell you one thing, if Big Baby Miller can pull it off, man, I tell you, he'll be my #1 fighter. He'll be Triple B, beautiful Big Baby Miller. But I can't see it. Like I think Joshua's going to deal with him quite easily, and they're going to have to fight the winner. Like, but look. He's held on to it for so long, his cash cow, and he's just blatant with it. And now he's putting up this tweet this morning talking about Joshua's first fights versus other people's first fights. The only fucking heavyweight fight that anybody cares about is Wilder Fury 2. Wilder Fury 2 was an epic, a heavyweight classic that eclipsed anything that AJ's ever done. Fury came back, he's more popular than ever. He's the popular heavyweight in the States, not Anthony Joshua. And they're rolling him out against some stiff to try and get some leverage in the market over there. It's absolutely rotten. Shit fight, like. Shit fight. Fella says he wants all the belts. What is he fighting Darrell, Big Baby Miller for, like? Is this guy a legit top 5 heavyweight, like? Is he? Is he better than Luis Ortiz, like? Get out of here, like. Absolute joke. Fought nobody either, like.
Rob's not happy, Ozzy. Let's bring you in, shall we? Just before we do so, I always like hearing from Joseph Ajayo, THD, PhD. He's been having his say on this. He said, Anthony Joshua, this is my advice to you as a father, former boxer, and boxing analyst. After your contract expires with Eddie, you must promote yourself if you want to bear the torch as champion, as Klitschko has prophesied. I do not see any love from Eddie, save he wants to make money. Ooh. He's basically saying, Ozzy, now let me just read this again. He's saying that Eddie just wants to make money and he has no interest in Joshua. This is disgusting comments from the doctor.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I do think he has an interest, but of course, as a businessman, he's in it to make cash. And who blames him? But being brutally honest, I've nothing against him wanting to make cash. He's a businessman and a good one at that. What a point I wanted to make is on the DAZN deal as a whole. It's an interesting situation. They're clearly bleeding cash at the moment. One thing we do know is that Edward is all a big numbers guy. He loves the numbers, whether it be talking about viewing figures, buys, etc., things like that. One thing I've noticed is that every show that has been put on DAZN, he's yet to reveal the viewership for it. He loves revealing, like the views that BT shows get or other shows get. But when it comes to DAZN, he refuses to reveal. Now, what was it, 15,000 that apparently watched Anthony Joshua against Alexander Povetkin? That was quashed immediately. But he never responded, with a number, which he usually likes to do. He always hints at one. So I'm wondering now how long. I think DAZN have rolled the dice here. I think, right, we want him in America now because we want to build a star, and we think if we can do that, our subs are going to go up. If they keep putting him off and showing him in the UK, where obviously the times are quite, relatively unfriendly in a perspective of gaining a American, a healthy American audience, that's going to be a struggle. So I wonder if DAZN have, basically clicked the fingers in a roundabout way of thinking, right, no, the Dillian White fight, we're not interested in it at the moment. We're not going to pay into that. Jarrell Miller's there. He's got a loud mouth. I mean, they've been taking the piss out of him already, haven't they, DAZN, about how he's ordering cheeseburgers on his phone and things. So, I mean, that shows him, but then it gives him an opportunity to showcase him. And I wonder if this flops and the subs don't rise like they want him to, whether they'll start looking at themselves and thinking, can we keep bleeding money the way it is? I mean, if he's really being paid upwards of, what, 25, 30 $30 million, that's not all based on pay-per-view buys. That's a lot coming from the TV channel. And I wonder how long they'll put up with it now. And that's why I think they've rolled the dice in getting Joshua over there now in the hope that he can help build this channel at a rapid rate.
Can I just say, see Canelo's last fight against Rocky. Who was it he fought against? Rocky Field, nah.
Rocky
Yeah,
killed
Rocky
him.
stop it.
I heard the numbers were absolutely fucking abysmal. Abysmal was the words that I'd actually was told.
Really? It doesn't
Well,
shock me.
hopefully that pushed through Ozzy the Jacobs fight as a result.
Yeah. Well, what doesn't shock me is the whole situation. At the end of the day, as UK fans, we have experienced this firsthand with Box Nation. Box Nation came onto the scene. It wasn't a streaming platform, but it's the same perspective. You've got to subscribe. You take an additional subscription to watch their content. That took time, a lot of time, to build a solid subscriber base from where BT then looked at it, and then there was enough subscribers there for BT to get involved because it showed there was another market. DAZN is exactly the same. Yes, it's ready-made, in like other countries, etc. But it shows, it has the rights to a hell of a lot of, like major sports. In America, it doesn't. They don't have the NFL. Don't think they have any baseball. Please, Gabe, if I'm wrong, correct me. But
they did sign something, Ozzy. I think was it baseball or basketball or one of them American sports. They did sign something. I think it was baseball.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Did they get baseball?
I could be wrong.
Hold on, I'll look
You're
at
wrong, Gabe.
I'm not sure.
Sorry, Ozzy, carry on.
But in terms of like all the other sports, like I said, the NFL, that will be a huge subscription driver for them. There's not a chance they're going to get any of that. So it's going to be like the UFC. They've got the basically the B grade of it, the Bellator stuff. So it's going to be it's an interesting time. I mean, they spoke about this $1 billion deal, which is a great PR stunt, but when you delved into it, I don't think they were chucking $1 billion up front. Golden Boy have been brought in from what was, I think, an exclusive agreement in America. Golden Boy have now wormed their way in. I did say that I thought Canelo will probably prop up DAZN, with people wanting to watch him. So it's going to be it's interesting times anyway. I think this fight. I think the next 12 months is one to watch. They are building a stable, and they are starting to put better fights on. But whether that is long enough, I'm not too sure. We're just going to wait and see, aren't we?
We believe it's baseball highlights. Apparently, Major League Baseball highlights.
See, the thing is, though, I mean, it's not expensive. I actually think it's pretty decent value. For all the sports, you get $10. But people aren't going to subscribe to that because they can catch some baseball highlights, are they? That's not how a subscription thing works. You've got to, like for a DAZN where it's a multi-sport platform, that you've got to have a vetted interest in quite a bit of it. I think at the moment they need to, I mean, it's a big step in what they're doing, but I just wonder if the boxing thing, maybe will they look at it and think, God, this is costing us a hell of a lot of cash for very little return, and how long will they put that up?
Yeah, but
they show the PDC darts as well. Sorry, Gabe, go on.
No, that's good. They're not going to get viewers from fucking baseball highlights. Just so you guys can understand that part a little bit of it. There is a weekly show for baseball. I believe during the week, several days a week, on various channels. TNT, which is Ted Turner's network, has several. So it's in leagues, kind of like the NFL. I don't know enough about soccer to compare it to that, but it's there's TNT has some baseball on there. ESPN always shows some baseball, and then just for example, there's a streaming service specifically for baseball. You can watch any out-of-network baseball game, which for me would mean anyone but a Texas team, and it's a relatively low price. That's streaming. And then every region in the United States has their own specific Fox network. So it used to be Fox Sports Southwest for Texas and a few other states. And so each one of these specific networks will air quite a few games from each specific team in that area. And then just to go even a little bit more further, specific channels linked to specific providers. So DirecTV is a big satellite provider here. They have a channel they call AT&T Sportsnet, I can watch every Houston Astros baseball game on that channel as long as it's not a national broadcast. If it's a national broadcast, it'll be on like NBC or Fox or something along those lines. There is absolutely no reason why anyone with any brain would subscribe to the Zone for baseball content. They can get every bit of baseball content they desire outside of this without having to fuck with all the boxing and UFC and all that other bullshit nonsense that they've got on there. And they're not going to for fucking highlights. There's no way, because you can get all the highlights you want just by going to the average website, going to Yahoo, going to ESPN. There's absolutely no reasons to subscribe to this for baseball. So that kind of cancels that out the window for me.
Yeah, I was about to go on to Value of the Weeks, and I forgot we haven't done Eubank against against DeGale yet, have we? Just before we do, Andy, you were ahead of your time back in the day. Noticed on Twitter this week, Ricky Hatton got sold into sexual slavery.
What happened to you?
Do you not see Ricky Hatton getting sold into sexual slavery on Twitter?
No, I never saw it, mate. I've been really busy this week, though. I've been really kind of tied up with other stuff and that. Hey, what's been happening?
You and Ricky both.
There was
What's happened?
Ricky got chained up in the old gimp costume or something or other, a pair of like leather pants, and there were, I think Anthony Fowler was retweeting it or something. I just happened to catch it. Ricky, with the old ball in the mouth, and I just thought of you, Andy. I think of sexual slavery.
He was doing it for the crack, I think, but like,
luckily for his own crack.
Yeah.
I was thinking of you, Andy, and blowing up Russia.
What was it? I can't mind how we got to that. Was one of the best stories ever, man. You all fucking tried to take the piss at me for it as well.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Right, let's get on to the last one then, shall we? Eubank against James DeGale. This is ITV pay-per-view. Can't move for a pay-per-view these days. Joe Joyce going in against Bermain Stiverne. Andre Sterling, Ricky Summers might be a decent fight. Lee Selby against Omar Douglas. I hope Omar Douglas has that big vacuum cleaner hairstyle. That could be the most interesting thing. Chris Congo, Anthony Kakachi and Sebastian Eubank. Puke, says Gabe. He's not happy about this. Let's go to you first, Rob. In fact, let's go to me first. I'm telling you what's going to go down here, Rob. Listen good. I think that Chris Eubank Jr., for all his faults, is going to stop James DeGale, I think the fight's going to be pretty even, Rob, going on throughout. DeGale's going to have his moments. He's going to outbox him. But he looks a little bit fragile lately, a little bit frayed around the edges. He showed against Caleb Truax and a couple of other fights. I think DeGale might be close to getting done. So as much as it pains me to say so, Eubank Jr. will keep throwing towards the end. And I'm going for Eubank Jr., 10th round stoppage against James DeGale. Rob, what do you think about
that? No, I can't see it. I think even if James DeGale is a shadow of his former self, he should have enough to beat Chris Eubank. Like, Eubank just hasn't shown it. Like, anytime he's had the opportunity, he looks so inept against George Groves. Groves and DeGale would have been on similar level for years. Like, and I think DeGale should easily have it within him to outbox Chris Eubank. Just a more solid fighter. Just a better Chris Eubank. The thing about him is that he doesn't have a ring IQ. Like, so he's not able to make adjustments on the spot. He just kind of sticks to. Plus, he doesn't listen to his trainer or whatever. We don't know how he's working out with this new trainer, but I'd say your man would want more than one fight, like, to make the improvements needed. That I think that Chris Eubank would need to mix it at the top level. Like, he's a good athlete, shown he's a bit of a chin, but he's shown like he's out of his depth against the top fighter. Like, out of his depth.
Out of his depth against a top fighter, Ozzy. The thing is, James DeGale once upon a time was a top fighter, but my prediction is based on the premise that James DeGale is no longer physically a top fighter. I think he's had a lot of hard fights, the likes of Badu Jack knocking his teeth out and stuff, and I think that he's worn down. Don't get me wrong, Ozzy. Prime DeGale, I think, toys with Eubank, but I'm going off the back of it not being a prime DeGale anymore.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I still think DeGale will have a bit too much for him. I know Eubank has undergone quite a lot of changes for him. He's obviously got a new trainer, so he's clearly working on things in camp. The pennies finally dropped that he does need to do something. But I saw some footage of DeGale in camp this week, and he looks the best I've seen him in years. He looks a lot bigger. He looks clearly will probably be a lot stronger, but physically it's the best I've seen him in a long time. And what a lot of people are saying now is that he's just been nursing, like Achilles injuries, ankle injuries, etc. And it's the first time in a long time, probably since the Badu Jack fight, that he's actually been, like I don't think a boxer's ever 100% fit. They've always got a niggle here and there. The camps are so grueling. But this is the first time in a long time that he's going into a fight, like buoyed, fully fit. And I think this one probably gets his juices going as well. I mean, I know the Caleb Truax fight, it was essentially one just to tick over, wasn't it? Ahead of a unification. And then can you get yourself up for it? Struggles. And so it's going to be interesting. I'm going to take DeGale. I've always said, if you stand in front of Chris Eubank Jr. and trade with him, there is a good chance you will get beat because he's got an excellent work rate. He's not got a lot of power, but at the same time, when you're getting hit by so many punches, you don't want to be hit by them regularly. And if you stand in front of him, there's a good chance you will get beat. If you box, you have good skills and you move, you can make him miss, you can make him look stupid. And George Groves won the fight purely on a jab, completely on that. And if DeGale can do somewhat of the same, I can't see what Chris Eubank Jr. can do any different than that. Another thing we've got to remember is that I think DeGale is a pretty decent sized middleweight. Chris Eubank Jr. is a 160 fighter and literally went up to 168 to earn some cash because he couldn't get the fights at 160 because he was an absolute pain in the arse to deal with. So for me, I still think I think DeGale has got more than enough in the tank to beat Chris Eubank Jr. I don't think he'll have it all his own way. I think he'll still try to do what he does and sits on the ropes and ride the shots from where it was his downfall against Truax and he got caught badly. But I think he's got enough in the tank to obviously go through a sticky situation at times. But I think he will. I don't think there's no chance he'll stop Eubank Jr. But I think it'll be like a 116, 112 sort of fight, and DeGale will be the new international boxing organization world super middleweight champion.
Yes. I like the sound of that, Ozzy. Say that again. I like that.
The new international boxing organization world super middleweight champion. I know a number of fighters and they're clambering to get hold of this belt. And obviously, Chris Eubank Jr., he's walked around Brighton with it, gone to clubs with it. And he's obviously eager to get that back so he can continue his journey parading off the IBO belt.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? That's what I say. That sounds nice, that. Gabe, yeah, Editing King summed up my feelings. I do hope that DeGale wins the fight. I want him to win, but Editing King gave a little lowdown, Gabe. He said, DeGale takes an early lead, but Eubank comes on strong earlier than he did in the Billy Joe Saunders fight and possibly stops DeGale on the ropes, overwhelmed with punches, and the referee dives in. He's read my mind there, Gabe. That's exactly how I see it going.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. I don't think it's going to take that long actually for that to occur. I really like DeGale, so I don't want to see him get blasted out. But the way he's looked at his last few fights, I really don't have much optimism about this one going well for him. I think he's going to get roughed up pretty quick, and I think it's going to be stopped before. I think it's going to be stopped inside 7 rounds, possibly. That's my pessimistic view of what I think is going to happen. I really don't see any way he can go the whole distance in that fight, and I really, really don't see any way that he can win it. Of course, maybe he'll show us some real grit, and hopefully he will stick in. And I would love to see him start Eubank, get a beautiful punch and knock him smooth out, but I don't see it happening. His last few fights, he looks like a guy on the downside, and I can see Eubank stopping him. As a matter of fact, that's like whenever I'm thinking the fight over and how it may go, all the different possibilities. Of course, you can't predict everything that happens, but looking at all the different things that could happen, I just don't see him making it out of the fight without being stopped. Again, I hope I'm wrong on that, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Jason Chuckwoo's in the chat shitting on the IBO. He's lucky that I'm logged in as myself and not the Asylum Andy, and I'm not able to block his ass, man. I won't have the IBO slandered. It's a legitimate belt. Anthony Joshua's the IBO champion. Klitschko, Lennox Lewis, they've all held it, haven't they?
This was the IBO belt that George Groves refused to pay the sanction fee for, and then he actually got fucking vacated the belt, and now he's got a chance to win it back so he can go about, as long as he says, run about nightclub doors and get his pictures taken with coppers. Sluts.
Andy, that's the one. Do you remember Johnny Nelson refused to play the sanctioning fee against Carl Thompson for it?
Oh, fuck off, man. I mean, this fucking title situation is an absolute farce. I suppose if you want to call it a bit of prestige, a bit of gold, a bit of silver, and that, well, I don't give a fuck. I mean, this fight, I'm pretty much with Aussie and Rob. I've watched Eubank since he started, right, and he has never once improved. Okay, there's only so much you can do without out athleticism guys and out punch them and stuff. I mean, tell me something. Does this guy actually throw a fucking straight punch or a straight right hand, for example? He can throw a decent. He can throw a jab from time to time when he remembers how to fucking do it. But does he throw a right hand behind it? Straight right hand? It's always like looping, wild right hands and stuff. All DeGale's got to do, in my opinion, is stay off the ropes. Stay off the ropes. Don't let Eubank tee off on you. You're fucking golden. 3-punch combination, slip to the side, roll underneath where he's fucking getting wild and crazy. Slip out. This should be 12-0, baby. It should be 12. I mean, I think if I'm right in saying Eubank has fought something like 4 or 5 southpaws in his career. I think it's something like 30 fights, right? Out of those southpaws, 3 of them are absolute fucking bums. The other one's Billy Joe Saunders. Now, Billy Joe fucking toyed him, tooled him until maybe the latter half of that fight when Eubank was trying to kind of put the pressure on and get that equal.
Saunders gassed in that as well.
Aye.
Saunders' tank just emptied.
No, I've watched some of the ITV build up to this and stuff, and one thing that struck me is what a good place DeGale's at the minute, mentally, physically, and that as well. He's talking about how he can throw the right hook now. Because he says in the past that he's always having to kind of pull it because it was always a problem with shoulder and stuff. Again, is what Ozzy was saying, that his career, I think I can go back as far back as when they won the European title actually against it wasn't against he didn't win it in Denmark, but he travelled. I mean, he was talking a good few years ago here. There was problems with injuries. He couldn't do road work. There was Achilles problems. There was problems with the knee. There was problems with the back leg. There was hand problems. There were shoulder problems, and everything just seemed to kind of, finally come to a head and stuff. He lost to Jack. I think he was forced to go to surgery after the Jack fight. I think I'm right in saying that. Then he lost to Truax. He off on that fight, and he came back and won the rematch.
That Jack fight was a hard fight, Andy, man. That was grueling against a big guy.
It did, and it was question marks were then raised because of, was that his prime now, years over, and I think he lost a few teeth in that as well in that fight. But he now, by his own admission, and by other people's admissions who are close to him, he's now injury free. At 33, to be fighting for the probably the best part of maybe 3-4 years of your career, maybe injured. Okay, but as what he says, but we're not always 100%, but. At some point or other, that you're nagging. It's just like the old warrior, old football player, the old whatever. That he's always carrying a fucking injury, a bad ankle, bad hamstring, or whatever. And that, and eventually, he's have to kind of either get it seen to it, or he'll have to retire. I think at this point, as Ozzy says in that as well, he's looking fantastic. Like, he hates Eubank. He's well up for a fight, and he seems physically, seems to be in a good place, as I say, mentally in that as well. So I'm going to say DeGale beats him. I'm fucking sick of people actually having to give Eubank fucking chances and that over, like, say, he's outwork him, and I mean, he's overrated. He can't punch. All he does is try to overwork. He doesn't throw straight shots. He can't throw combinations, right? I mean, this fucking shit throwing uppercuts from mid distance and stuff. That's what Amir Khan got knocked out by Danny Garcia by doing, throwing a fucking uppercut from mid distance and leaving himself open for a left hook. I just can't see. I mean, by this point, this time next week, I'm going to have to say is, Eubank Jr.'s career, we can just say at this point, we'll have an asterisk at the end of it, with a double line going through it and stuff like that, and just basically says, out of order, career over, move on.
Looking for that JJ McDonough rematch.
Oh, aye. We'll take it to the cobbles.
On the cobbles.
On the cobbles, baby.
what we're going to remember is the Groves fight. I mean, the 3 sets of cards, in my opinion, were horrendous. I think from memory, I gave Eubank 1 round, and that was round 12 when George Groves popped his shoulder out.
Yeah, can I say something? Sorry, mate. Hammy92 in the chat is saying there, for instance, he's saying what did he say here? He says Eubank KO inside 9 rounds, right? He says here the game will look like a bloody mess. Wait a minute. Tell me something. Hamid, you just heard Steve saying there about fucking DeGale fighting Badu Jack, right? He's a monster at 160. He's had to move up to 175. He gave DeGale all he could handle. He broke his teeth, right? Knocked him down once or twice and stuff like that. Are you seriously trying to tell me Chris Eubank can do to James DeGale the likes of Badu Jack couldn't he fucking do, or Lucien Boutte, or Andre Darrell, far better technicians, far better skilled fighters than fucking Chris Eubank fucking Jr. Please do me a favour, as Frank Warren would say.
Go on,
yeah, I can't see that. I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, obviously, but I can't see you. Like I said, Eubank doesn't possess the power. Like I said, he's an overwhelming one, and I think DeGale's got enough in there, to get himself out of a sticky situation, should he get in one. For me, I mean, one thing Eubank has always got to fall back on is if he gets beat here, he can just go, I'm dropping down to 160. I was never a super middleweight, ever.
No, he won't. No, he won't. He'll thoroughly say, I got robbed, like he did against Groves. I thought I won the fight. You know shit.
Well, I mean, I remember watching the aftermath of the
his dad.
And they even said to him, he was asking people in his change room, do you think I won? And they stayed quiet, and then his dad just went, no, I thought you got beat. And then he just disagreed with him. And you think, well, you only care about what you want to hear, basically. Now, I mean, an interesting comment from his coach is that he's listening to me at the moment. When we get into the ring, if he listens, is another question. And I think, honestly, that is a huge factor as well. It's all right having a trainer in your corner, but is his dad going to rock up last minute and just stay in the corner? Because he's a distraction. He's a pisshead. He's a joke. He just gets in there. And he's a farce. And I don't think he's any help on his son's career either. But I think Eubank, he's got to learn from his problems. And at the moment, we've not seen anything of that. And every time, like you said, every time he has stepped up, he's lost. Convincingly as well. Absolutely convincingly. His best win is probably what? Arthur Abraham. And that's because Arthur Abraham just stood in front of him with a big high guard, and Eubank could tee off on him. After that,
it must be Mr. Robot, Ozzy. Mr. Robot was coming in rated highly by a lot of knowledgeable pundits.
Do you mean award-winning pundits from Ireland as well, Steve, or... I think that's what you're alluding to. No, but no, yeah, I would probably. It's probably Abraham, isn't it? A faded Arthur Abraham. After that, what are you looking at?
Quinlan.
God, Blackwell.
Quinlan.
No, God, no.
You talking about Eubank here? His best win.
Yeah, I'd say Arthur Abraham.
Faded vet, I suppose. I mean, that was. I'm gonna say I probably will say Abraham, and then I'll tell you what, I'll say Abraham, I'll say Chudanov, then I'll say Yildirim, then I'll say Blackwell. That's his 4 best wins. That is fucking abomination of a career, by the way.
Oh, you've missed one out on the Tony Jetta.
Oh, aye.
Can't forget him, Tony Jetta.
Him looks like he's been swallowing 10 ecstasy pills and that in his fucking profile picture on BoxRec.
Yeah.
He's got fucking jaw like a fucking doorstep.
Talking about off the mic, actually, Humphrey Aboagye in the chat says, I bet ITV won't get Naz on the team of pundits since he said Eubank should finish. It'd be good if they did.
That was one of the most overplayed memes in history, wasn't it? It really was. They killed it pretty quickly.
I'll tell you what, though, that comment as a whole sparked a debate, and I could get where he was coming from, to be honest.
He was 100% bang on. He was correct.
He basically said, look, he can't punch. He can't box. I think he should finish.
I mean, the thing is, he's used Mama's Boy as his fucking chief sparring partner. Dennis Dublin. George Groves absolutely bent him over in their fight, by the way.
Is he really using Dublin?
Yeah.
He's
Over
He's
his
better off with a
salad.
punch bag with a head on top.
he's got me staying in that fucking bullshit Meccano set house that he bought off the Grover's money. He then gets a fucking McLaren G8 car fucking delivered, whatever it was. I mean, obviously it's got to be a high. Again, Eubank, I hope you've got that at least, pal. That better not be on hire purchase or any other type of bullshit. What's the fucking point of buying that shit? Fucking rent it out for a day or something like that. Rent it out for a couple of weeks.
But I'll tell you what, in terms of a betting perspective, Chris Eubank Jr. is actually the bookie's favourite.
Seriously?
And you can get 13 to 10 on a James DeGale win. And a DeGale win on points is a similar price, really. Best price 2 to 1, but across the board it's like a 6 to 4, 13 to 8, etc. Things like that. Like I said, I can't see DeGale stopping him whatsoever. I just don't think he's got it in him to do that. So I'll be certainly backing. I'm not
saying that though, saying that, right? I mean, listen, again, I know he's no peaking that, but remember how he caught Paul Smith as Smith was recklessly trying to attack him off the rope? You just don't know. I mean,
yeah,
Eubank attacks.
but
Eubank attacks reckless abandonment. He can actually open himself up down the middle. DeGale might just see something and catch him down, straight down either down the middle or clip him with a hook. You never know. I mean, okay, his chin seems to be pretty good, but you just never know.
Well, I was going to say one thing that he has got is a decent chin. But that saying, I thought Groves dropped him, I think, twice, and they weren't called as knockdowns. And I thought, well, he can be hurt. But in reality, before that, he's taken everything that's been given at him. So I would, I mean, if I was to pick one now, I'd just back the DeGale win outright at 13 to 10. I think it's good enough value that, and one that, like you said, when you break it down, if he's got anything left to DeGale, which I think he has, like we said, he looks in brilliant shape. Realistically, it should be a foregone conclusion that James DeGale's arm gets raised at the end of the night.
Well, yeah, I'm not so sure, but we'll move on to Bellew of the Weeks, everybody. Then we'll get out of here on the back of a Dom McNamara question. We'll have a bit of Dom's questions. It's going to be interesting, that's for certain. Anyway, Jake Winterbottom has started us off with Bellew of the Weeks, questioning Frankie Gavin. Gavin is talking about meal preparation and recommending people for meal preparations. Yeah, preparation for his kebab, more like, says Jake Winterbottom. Bellew of the Week. Spencer Fear on the Master Knowledge himself was tweeting this week. Fury fight, $4 million for AJ. Miller fight, $32 million. Spencer knows what he's backing. He's not a company man, though. Just telling the truth, everybody. Just putting it out there. The Galveston Giant has nominated Bellew of the Week for all the hilarious people falling for the Anthony Joshua trolling. But this is a good one. Chris Eubank Sr. Ben Bates put up a picture of his son, who's about 6 years of age, getting ready for a novice bout in boxing. Final preparations for fight night on Saturday, said Ben. Any words of wisdom to help motivate Zachary for his first fight? # warrior code. What did Chris Eubank Sr. come up with? Best of luck, Zachary, something like that. No, Eubank said, don't do it, Zachary. If you take up boxing, you can never fight outside the ring. You have to always protect people. You have to be continuously chivalrous, which will give you distinction that will make you the odd one out because you will become a hero to the masses, which is very lonely. Yeah, great motivation for that 6-year-old there, Chris. Don't think that's quite the type of thing they were looking for, but thanks anyway. Robbie Henderson is talking about the Darrell Miller-Anthony Joshua fight. This is not pay-per-view worthy, Eddie. And Stephen Perry jumped in. You don't even know the card yet, for fuck's sake. AJ alone is pretty much pay-per-view. As anyone from the top 10, you can't complain. Add that AJ card. He'll have good undercards with a brilliant job to get the fans on side. Boxing Boy nominated him for that. Here's you, Andy, appearing in Bellew of the Weeks, nominating Matty at Matthew Wagon. Not the best fight, but only Miller has the balls to step up. What do you think about that, Andy? You nominated Matthew for this.
What was that one again, mate?
You nominated Matthew Wagon, who said not the best fight, but only Darrell Miller has the balls to step up to fight AJ.
Right. Well, mate, we spoke about it earlier, but no anybody, would fight Joshua. I mean, I don't fucking see it. I mean, you try to tell me if you fucking turn around and say to Derek Chisora, there's fucking £5 million, would you fight Anthony Joshua? Absolutely fucking right you would. Nobody's fucking ducking Anthony Joshua. The only people that are ducking Anthony Joshua is the fucking contract negotiations caused by Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, and ultimately Anthony Joshua. So he is the fucking one that's ducking people. End of story.
There you go, Andy laid it out. A lot of nominations still, though. Gaffer Goldsmith has nominated AJ. Cast your votes. Hashtag AJ Boxing. Who shall I fight next? Don't think Darrell Miller was too close to the top of the list, if he was on the list at all, to be honest with you. 13, Mike Boxing. Hearn and AJ have got to win Bellew of the Year for announcing Wembley, then fighting in New York. Michael Benson was listing out the possible Darrell Miller, Anthony Joshua undercard fights. Judah Leet jumped in. Coyle versus Algieri. Sounds like an absolute war. Max Stokes says, sounds like an absolute Bellew of the Week to me. Mr. Leet has been nominated. Ernie Gabion, nothing wrong with this fight at all, in my opinion. Big Baby Miller can do it. Chad Hogan says no. Nominated Ernie Gabion. Andrew G has nominated Brian Hankins, basically sticking up for the fight, saying no one else wanted to take it. Big Baby stepped up. Robin Block. Oh, talking about toe-to-toe. We were talking about Spencer earlier. Robin Block says, I used to adore toe-to-toe. I think Anna Woolhouse is a great presenter, but Sky have made a mistake with the current lineup and have sanitized the show. Sanitized the show. I've lost soul. It's lost its soul and is now sadly unremarkable. Spencer Fearon and Ross T. Jenkins had a great chemistry in its heyday. Gary Brown jumped in. Spencer Fearon drops too much truth for Sky Sports. He doesn't toe the line. Shame. Jordan Wills has nominated those two boys, Andy. Spencer Fearon drops too much truth for Sky. They've got rid of him.
Yeah, Spencer X. By the way, can I just say, I know Ed Robinson been moved upstairs in Sky Sports and stuff like that because he's a company man, but at the same time, far fucking better than some of these yes men kicking about in that as well. And can we just also throw in there as well as Tris Dixon, who's complaining constantly about new podcasts and stuff like kicking about. Well, Andy Clark and Matthew Macklin just released a new podcast this week as well. So we were the fucking trailblazers, by the way. Every cunt's following our lead.
No one was interested in podcasts back in the day, were they? Before Matty jumped on with you, Andy, and the boys and got it going, and the Guru now is near dead.
There's been a big boom recently, hasn't there? I mean, probably the back end of 2018 and up to now, there's been so many that are being created. Literally once a week, twice a week, you're seeing them pop up now.
It's a joke. You hear Adam Smith this week tried to sell Big Baby Miller as an opponent. Oh my God, like pulling up everything from that he used to spar with Klitschko to that he's from Brooklyn and that he's 25 stone. You fuck off, like Darrell Big Baby Miller.
Yeah, but he's worked so very, very hard, Rob.
They make him tough where he comes from. You know, Riddick Bowe's from there. Mike Tyson is from there. There's a janitors from there, I'm sure, as well. You don't have to fucking give him a shot at the undisputed heavyweight title of the world. Like,
I guarantee right now, baby. See if he's taking a fucking trimming. I mean, like punch after punch for like say like 8 rounds, 10 rounds and stuff like that. Adam Smith's going to pipe up. He's so very, very brave. So brave. You know,
he's so brave. He's taking some bombs in there tonight, but those bombs are in no way related to the terror attacks the night of Amir Khan Day.
Right, let's go on to a few more Bellew of the Week, shall we? Now this, we're tweeting out, only 39% of women orgasm during heterosexual sex versus 91% of men. This women's health company is on a mission to close the orgasm gap. Now, why the hell are we talking about this, you might ask? Michael Buffer was liking this tweet. Babs jumped in and said one of the Matchroom interns appears to be horned up this Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah,
like a bit of orgasm.
Or Eddie Hearn was absolutely like because he's away from home and that at the minute and that he was absolutely horned up. You know, maybe been fucking having a wee bit of chick, you know, wee bit of chick, and he's just fucking like got the horn on, you know,
standing around those Corona girls with the dead eyes.
Yeah.
Josh Fitzgerald has nominated AJFC hashtag Stay Hungry. It must be a parody account, this, going on about Eddie delivering another landmark defence. Sam has nominated Jorge Fuentes. Michael Benson sent out a tweet saying Vasily Lomachenko responds to Teofimo Lopez's trash talk. Jorge Fuentes jumped in and said he doesn't want that smoke versus Mikey Garcia. Vasil is hell of overrated and has a glass chin. Sam rightly nominated Mr. Fuentes for that comment. Has he lost his faith in his son's abilities? Asked Dippo Osho. He's talking about Chris Eubank Sr. Heartfelt YouTube video. I think he's on about Junior now, saying that he's maybe not as good as he thought he was, etc. Dippo said he thinks he's lost all faith in him. I've lost all faith in my list of Bellew of the Week, so that's all the ones I've got, to be honest with you. There are quite a few front runners, Andy. Like Jorge Fuentes saying that Vasil Lomachenko is overrated and has a glass chin, and he doesn't want that smoke against Mikey Garcia.
That's the one for me at the minute, mate. Definitely. Unless any of the lads have got something can add in there to kind of top that one, that's definitely
Have
top.
you got any to throw in, Andy? Any to
No.
chuck in there?
Nothing really, mate. Nothing. I've passed you on my ones for during the course of the week and stuff, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head at the minute. Obviously, Eddie Hearn just for like the week he's having again. I mean, put it this way. I mean, we'd heard. Let me get this right now. Dillian White's fight's been pushed back to, is it June, July? He's having a bit of a nightmare this year, Eddie Hearns. You know, I mean, he's forced to put on Brandon Rios, Humberto Soto, main event in Mexico, right? He's talking to Mike Costello about, I'm going to be Matchroom Italy, Matchroom Spain, Matchroom Mexico, Matchroom Germany, and all that sort of shit. Where's these fucking fighters coming from, by the way? And by the way, if you do get fighters, what standard are we talking about here? Come on, you fuck, man. So any chance to put Eddie Hearn up there, I'll do it. But no, but the one for the Lomachenko comment, definitely up there.
Aussie, quite a few. Only 39% of women orgasm during heterosexual sex, according to Now This. I'm having a lot of trouble saying heterosexual. I'm struggling here. Michael Buffer wasn't struggling though, was he? He was liking that.
Because you're thinking homosexual, Steve. You're thinking about the gay man.
Michael Buffer was getting ready to rumble.
Aye.
Getting ready to fumble, Aussie. What do you think?
No, he was getting ready to get that party started, by the way.
I mean, that's an absolute travesty from Buffer, isn't it? But I've just got the one. I didn't hear if it was mentioned, but Eduardo Hearn uploading that picture out the blue of after 25 fights or something like that. It just said good morning. I'm thinking, yes, you know where Eduardo likes to say that he's living rent free in numerous people's heads. Well, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder have taken up residence and are more than living rent free in Eduardo's head.
They're having a party in there.
I said that long ago that fucking Tyson Fury for one that stepped in his head, camped, took a shit, fucked off and left it after kicking out the campfire. I mean, he's all over the place.
And to everyone that was saying that we were bashing Matchroom, didn't we tell you? We said fucking log it. It's going to be Big Baby Miller in America because they couldn't handle the backlash. And the backlash against this has been glorious. Glorious from the fans.
And one thing is that Chris Walker mentioned that this was actually in play for last August, September time. So whilst they've said, we've never had any discussions, this Big Baby Miller fight has clearly been on the radar.
Yeah, but it was an option for them, mate. It was clearly an option that they could use at some point in the future if they really needed it.
In the back pocket job.
Yeah.
He's on camera on one of those seconds out videos telling Big Baby Miller he's got the fight back. And I pointed to it at the time and everyone was giving me, that's not evidence, mate. He's telling him on camera, you have the fight, mate. You know what I mean? What more do you want? And then he goes into this publicity PR campaign just trying to keep his name around Wilder and Fury, with all these fake negotiations. I'm delighted that the fans came back at him this week, really gave it to him,
But no, Eduardo, particularly for that picture, which just came completely out the blue, and again, it's just another bullshit PR tactic that, look, after 25 fights, this is who Joshua's fought and been fighting. I mean, it's there correctly. I mean, it doesn't include, obviously, Tyson Fury's win against Anthony Joshua, etc., things like that. It's just garbage. And like I said, him throwing a paddy and trying to stay relevant.
Yeah, Ben Thorne's nominated that as well. He put it up on Facebook as well. Did Eddie and said the same thing. Good morning. Good morning to you, Gabe. I don't know what time it is over there in the Texas land when you're getting prepared for Oliver McCall's comeback at the age of 53. Any nominations other than that one, Gabe? You could probably nominate Mr. McCall himself, couldn't you?
No, I won't nominate him. I'll skip that one.
No nomination, says Gabe. Right, Rob, go on then. Chuck in any of yours, or if not, get us rolling with who you're going for.
Well, I did want to bring up Floyd again, because his level of petty knows no bounds now. If you think, regardless of where you stand on this argument, right? If you think Floyd can't be petty, just to give you a bit of context, you might remember the TV show Moesha starring R&B singer Brandy, and it starred her brother Ray J as well, who's the guy that was in the Kim K sex tape. And as you know, I'm the Kim man, and any Kim can get it. Kim K, Kim Wilde, anyone you want. But anyway,
Kim Jong-un.
You said it. You can go first. But anyway, so So Floyd and him were friends, and he was in one of the 24/7s playing the piano in the living room. But Floyd, you might remember a few years ago, was going to get, after Miss Jackson, was going to get engaged to this stripper that he might call Princess Love. So it turns out Ray J was giving her a bullet behind Floyd's back. Then he ended up marrying her. Floyd allegedly some people broke into her apartment and stole back all the Gucci shoes that Floyd had bought her. So just to give you a context how petty Mayweather could be with all his money, this week Gucci got backlash for releasing some kind of blackface balaclava, right? And the hip hop community were out in arms and they're saying they're going to boycott Gucci, and it was led by a rapper called T.I. So what does Mayweather do? He has the TMZ cameras come to the Gucci store and watch him go in and buy the place out for him and his entourage, and come out and say that he does his own thing and he's not a leader and he's not a follower. So he gets heavy backlash, and T.I. releases a diss track. But the context of that is Floyd was supposed to have been fooling around with T.I.'s wife, and T.I. confronted him and basically, I think, told him that, whatever about him doing it in the ring, that he was going to get him, he was going to have him dealt with. Like, so Floyd's answer to this when he sees T.I. raising the boycott is to go to the Gucci store and then come back on Instagram and saying that the rappers should look how they're portraying our people before pointing the finger at Gucci, which which way you stand on it. Some people say he made good points, other people were outraged with him. But it's all done based off just his hatred for T.I. It's no political stance or anything. Like, he's just a petty man with lots of money. Like,
I'm not up on this world, Rob, but it could have been worse. Remember, wasn't it James Prince who turned up at the gym one time?
Exactly. Yeah. So he's going to be 50-1 messing around with some of them. Like, but yeah, and just his general. I wonder what he bought in the Gucci store. Probably some more wellies, like, and a trilby. To keep the run that he's on going. Yeah, exactly.
Rob, I know you want a pair of those red wellies.
If I could get them, man, I'd be wearing them on Instagram. 1,000,000%.
Are you on Instagram, Rob, are you?
Oh, yeah. Same handle.
Same handle, everybody. Hashtag Kelly, hashtag humble.
Stay hungry versus stay humble. That's Big Baby Miller versus AJ, the tagline. Stay hungry versus stay humble. Fuck me.
Right, I've lost all track of time and space here, Andrew. Who are we going for? Was it Eddie or Floyd or Jorge Fuentes, or who are you going for?
No, it was the one for the Lomachenko comment, mate.
Jorge Fuentes.
Yeah, that's the one, aye.
Yeah, we'll chuck one in for him. I think I'll go for him as well. Who are you going for, Gabe?
The Linares comment.
Linares? Which one's that?
Shit, sorry, not Linares. Fucking Lomachenko.
I'm only trolling you. Yeah, I like the Buffer one as well. Like, I like a bit of tweeting like that. Al Bernstein, brings me back to good times. 7-year anal. Ozzy, who you going for?
Oh, Buffer. Can't excuse the guy. He's a fucking embarrassment at the moment, particularly with that Twitter account of his. It's a joke. Like him. Hashtag
let's get ready to rumble trademark. You should start trademarking tweets, Rob. That could really get things to take off.
Yeah, well.
Let's get this party started.
What's he at, like, Michael Buffer at his age, out on Twitter, liking things like that? What's he doing? Like, say, come on, ladies.
Have you seen his wife, by the way?
Isn't she?
He's definitely pumping some hydraulics to hang that one. Like,
sure, he's getting doesn't he get like 500 grand to do like rich people's weddings and all, like, over in the States? He's on a big time earner, that guy. Like,
see the problem is that I bet he's. It doesn't really matter if he goes on top or on the bottom. His face is either going to fall to the side because of the fucking plastic, or he goes on top, it fucking falls down on top of her because it's fucking. You can just see it. How can she be aroused by that, man?
Because Buffer's doing well sexually, like Umar, your fellow Umar.
You can imagine him putting your Andy too close to the hairdryer. You just have a freaking wig and a skull left. Like,
the thing is, he's an old Vietnam vet and that, so I dare say it'll be like some fixed bayonets and that. And you go, mate.
Did he just Vietnam? Did he just get them all in a room before they went out and like, let's get ready to rumble? And the boys went, like, he just stayed there, like MASH.
Oh god, yeah. Let's finish, shall we? I don't even know who won that, to be honest, and I don't even care. Right, question from Don McNamara. Let's throw this out and get the hell out of here. It's quite similar to the last one, Andy, actually, along the same sort of lines as Dom threw him before. He's got a bit of pent-up rage, this guy, where maybe his therapy, the asylum is probably the best place for him. But he says, anyway, Andy, which celebrity sports star would you love to kick the bollocks out of till their family started crying and begging for you to stop?
Wait, what's a celebrity sports star here, by the way?
Celebrity / sports star. It's pretty similar to the last question I think that he said.
And he's taking Scott Brown today anyway after a nice minute winner. Come on,
hey, see the worst thing about that fucking goal today, by the way. See if I hadn't hit the hand of that commando player, was going to hit a fucking bar, man. That was a
big
fucking
time. That was the stadium.
Oh, it was the worst.
Anyway, listen. Which celebrity / sports star? So you can pick here. Would you love to kick the bollocks out of till their family started crying and begging for you to stop? For me, says Dom, it's Dancing Dyke Ellen DeGeneres. Please ask as many of the lads as you can, and don't be shy about throwing in your own answer.
Who?
Ellen DeGeneres off the Ellen Show.
I have fucking
I told you, Dom's full of rage, man.
Right, I'll probably go for Lewis Hamilton. I hate that wee prick, man. Talk about a self-entitled fucking, what a wee wanker that is, by I just can't stand him. Cannot stand him. One person I would love, I swear to God, see if I was like maybe 5 years younger, by the way, it was my absolute physical peak. See if you give me a tackle 50-50 with Sergio Ramos, by the way, I swear to fucking God, I'd take a broken leg, broken ribs, fucking organs shifted the other side of my body, I would go right through that cunt, by the way. If I came off worse, doesn't matter. As long as I fucking injured him as well, I'd fucking do it. I hate that cunt. Hate him. Who else? Chris Eubank Jr. Adrian Brunner. See at this point, I see me still fighting in that. I used to hate him, Floyd sort of awful. I kind of hate him anymore. Like, I pity him. I really do.
I agree with that, Andy. I'm the same. It was the same with Roy Jones. I was annoyed with him during his peak, but I actually started to like him now. He's a bit of an eccentric. Same with Floyd, yeah. He's like a lovable fool, isn't he?
No, he's just a dick, but he's a lonely man. I mean,
someone said about him this week that he's so poor, all he has is money.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I say there, mate. It's just, imagine fucking going on Instagram, right? Think about this. You get up in the morning, you decide I'm going to go and get dressed like a fucking Neapolitan ice cream fucking box, right? So you go and get the fucking clays on, right? You go and get the red wellies, the fucking black hat and the white suit, whatever you fucking want to wear, right? What are you going to go and do, Floyd? Get Instagram working, pal. I'm going to go for a walk around my private pool here in my house and then fucking go back. Dude, fucking stop it. Right? You're the most loneliest guy I've ever known. Go get your kids, take them for a picnic, go let them enjoy fucking, make memories with them instead of going to fucking private jets to LA to watch the basketball and all.
Keep making them smart investments.
Fucking weird,
making smart investments, Floyd.
Yeah,
go for a picnic. You sound like Alan Partridge, Andy.
But he won, mate. Well, I'll put it this way, mate. Put it this way. What's he going to do? Is he going to beat up his wife in front of his kids, or is he going to take him for a fucking something to eat?
Or his kids in front of his wife?
Yeah,
but this
exactly.
is the fella. This is the fella who used to throw celebration parties in honor of himself 24/7, so all his staff could thank him and have a big party in his honor ahead of his fight. Like
GMT,
you know what I mean?
GMT, the money team. Oh my fucking God, man!
Come on then, boys. Andy, you've thrown in a few. Go on, Rob. Who do you want to batter so that the family jumps in and intervenes?
I think Buffer's got to get it this week. Like, what's he at on the internet?
You can't beat a Buffer. He crumbles.
Oh, beat Buffer. Oh, yeah, in terms of beating him up. Oh, God, I don't know. Like, there's so many of them. Like, I said last week, Gerard wouldn't want it with me, man. I'd box the ears off Gerard. Like, I don't even really dislike Gerard like that much, but...
You're raging because he's a fucking Tim fucking manager of Rangers. That's what his fucking problem is.
6'2". We've both done great things in the world of football. I think we could definitely do it at Ibrox. Like I said before, to the home end. If they'd have to increase the ticket application for this one.
Fucking Gerard would just fucking contact the guys in Liverpool and that, and they'll come up there. Fucking what's he called? What's the guy that rattles the cage all the time? What's his name? Stephen French. Stephen French, man. He would kick your cunt in.
Irish fellas are not having a particularly good run in Liverpool at the moment, if the rumours about McGregor are to be believed. He launched the He launched a new line of suits this week, which I thought was kind of funny because he has a paternity suit hanging over his head that he might want to sort out. So we're not doing too well in Liverpool. Maybe not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I want
Gucci suits and lawsuits.
I want to know who McGregor's mates are, by the way, because see if it came to like say rape and children who he's meant to have fathered, by the way. Oh, it was my mate. It was my mate. So I like to know these mates, by the way, who are going to stand by him and can take the rap for rape and fucking father another woman, by the way.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Right, Ozzy, do you want to throw anything in before we finish up?
Justin Bieber.
Oh no.
And I'd love to do it with a pair of steel toe caps on. Like I said, really assault him numerous times. Do him in the shins for good measure because that'd hurt as well. And then just see him drop to the floor and then probably finish him off with a big right steel toe gap to the jaw. And he'd be struggling then. And like I said, if the family jumped in, probably one for good measure. And I'd be more than happy with that.
What about Eddie Hearn? I mean, I would love to go and get a fucking ringside seat one night at a Joshua fight. I'd enter the ring like fucking Rey Mysterio, right? Kick fuck out of Joshua and jump right off a table, drop kick fucking Eddie Hearn square right in the cunt, by the way.
It's not even.
DTT him.
I'd get more pleasure from seeing Hearn like slip on some like ice or something like that when he wasn't expecting.
Like Gemma Collins.
Like Mourinho.
Oh no! Like
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the time Tommy Coyle actually scanted them in fucking the hotel room and that. He was
Yeah.
fucking.
Oh, I was
raging.
there when that happened. I was
Yeah.
in the lobby. That was in Boston, wasn't it? When he pulled the shorts down.
Yeah, it's more childish things. I'd like, like throwing a stone and it just clocking Hearn on his head, or getting hit by a golf ball or something like that. Just little amusing things that would make me laugh, rather than like beating him up. I wouldn't appreciate that. But like I said, like little
I'd
child.
appreciate that. I'd appreciate it. I mean, I'm Scottish, so I'm kind of predispositioned to violence anyway, So
Right, Gabe, come on. Finish us off, Gabe. Who's getting you beaten this week? Will help Dom. Is it his nephew?
Finish off Steve with a
No.
beating there.
After listening to this shit for the last 15 minutes, I can say that you are all certifiable, and I refuse to be a part of this madness.
What about Tony Luis, Gabe? He's not going to hurt your back, is he?
Give Tony to me. Bring me him. I'll give him what for. Tony, come to Texas.
Come on, Tony.
Gabe's got license for numerous weapons anyway, so
yeah, he's got clan meeting tonight.
Else.
Clan meeting tonight. He's going to take his revolver with him as well, and his 6 Sauser and fucking 9mm. Fucking Jesus Christ, man. Here, Gabe, you got an automatic rifle by any chance?
Do what?
Have you got an automatic rifle?
Do I have a rifle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Why? Aye.
Why would you ask me why? Because we do things with them here in Texas, like hunt.
Yeah, well, you're a cunt then, because
yeah, so are you, motherfucker.
yeah, I know. But listen, I know I'm a cunt, so I accept that. But I'm telling you for the first time, you're not going to boot with automatic rifles now. I mean, fucking, what, you ain't in Afghanistan or something like Iraq or Somalia and that.
I didn't catch a word of that. I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
Oh,
fucking hell.
Why do you want to shoot people, Gabriel?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Don't shoot people.
what do you carry?
I don't carry anything. I don't carry my weapons outside of the house.
I've got a weapon. It's got 2 ball things beside it as well, man.
Right, so we're canning this now. Let's shoot out of here. Thank you, everybody. You've had good
Shoot
fun.
out.
Dom.
Andy.
I don't know where. I don't know
Come
where
over
Dom's going to go
sometime.
next. I don't know where Dom's going to go next with this. But anyway, any questions of that nature or anything boxing related, even we can talk boxing as well if you want.
I think,
Throw it
judging
into us.
by Dom's last 2 weeks, I think his question next week is, who would you like to sleep with and kill?
Yeah. Basically, who would you like to wrap your hands around about their throat as you're about to come, by the way?
I'd be kill first and then sleep with. I think Dom's gone off on one. Right. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us. Rapping Rob Kelly on Instagram at Rob H Kelly. Everybody.
Oh,
Ozzy
thanks
Smith.
for that, Steve. Cheers, mate.
Ozzy Smith as well. Gabe Lewis, always good to hear from you. Andy Patterson, I've been Steve Wellings. We'll catch you all again, same place, same time next week. Thanks, bye.